Beanful Wishes. The Coffee Loft Series, Fall Collection. Written by Susanne Ash. Chapter 1. Sophia. The scent of strongly brewed coffee and freshly baked cinnamon rolls hits me the moment I push open the door to the coffee shop. "Welcome to Coffee Loft," a tall drink of cool water calls from behind the counter. I tear my eyes away and focus my attention on the establishment that's been the talk of the town of late. I can see the appeal of the cozy space, and if the coffee is as good as it smells, it should do well. Judging by the crowd gathered, it already is. "What can I get you?" the barista, who greeted me a moment ago, asks. He's at least 6 feet tall, wearing a dark blue shirt with the coffee shop's logo stretching across his broad chest. I stare up at the board, dazzled by the choices. "How about a tall spiced vanilla latte?" "Sure about that." There's a hint of amusement in his deep voice. I look into a pair of deep blue eyes that draw me in and have to remind myself to blink. "I'm sure," I say with as much confidence as I can muster. "Coming right up." He turns, presenting me with an even better view of his broad shoulders and a crop of sandy hair that, under influence of the large ceiling fans, touzles like the dry sea grass in the Atlantic breeze. I step back, allowing the next person in a long line of customers to place their order. The place is packed. When a young couple who looks like they've been on a date leaves a small bistro table in the far corner, I practically race over and put down my bag before taking a seat under a bulletin board. Index cards are tacked to it, and a stack of them is sitting in a box on a small table next to mine. "The wishing wall?" I ask no one in particular, reading the words out loud. Several patrons turn to look at me like I've lost my marbles. I stand up and tug my sweater lower over my hips, stepping up for a closer look at the note cards tacked to the corkboard. I scan through the handwritten notes, each of them expressing a wish, ranging from whimsical to heartfelt. "It's something else, isn't it?" An older gentleman walks up and picks up an index card and pen. "What do you know about it?" I ask. "Not much. Only that the wishes have a way of coming true." He scribbles a few lines and tacks his card up with a pushpin. "Do you know how long this has been here?" I point to the board. The old man shrugs. "A few months? Long enough for word to get around town that this is the place to come if there's something you truly desire." He points to his heart. "Any idea who put this up?" I ask, hoping for a hint to who might be responsible for the rumors I've heard about this place. More shrugs. "No one knows." I watch him walk off. "He's right, you know." A young woman at the table next to mine turns to face me. "Those wishes have a way of coming true." "Seriously?" I resist the urge to pull out the pen and notepad that is in my purse. She nods. "My friend wished for a date with this guy she met at the dog park, and 2 days later, she ran into him, right here at Coffee Loft." "Interesting." I'm not sure I believe the story. "I'm Tracy, by the way." She holds out her hand, and I shake it. "I'm a bit of a regular. Especially since Jake started working here." Tracy points toward the counter where the barista that I placed my order with is busy working an impressive-looking espresso machine. His t-shirt stretches across broad shoulders, accentuating the muscles beneath. The man is in shape. I turn back. "Sophia. It's nice to meet you. I don't think I've seen you here before." Tracy adjusts her chair to face me. "What brings you in today?" "All the buzz about Coffee Loft, actually." I don't tell her that it's my boss at WILMTV, the local station, who gave me this assignment. So far, I don't think it'll work as more than a cute little social media post with a picture of the wishing wall. "I know, right?" Tracy grins. "It's been the talk of the town. There was a line this morning when I stopped in for my lofty iced macchiato." "Lofty?" "Oh, they have these cute names for their largest drinks." Tracy holds up hers, and I have to admit, it's an impressive amount of cold liquid. "Lofty spiced vanilla latte." The deep voice behind me startles me as it rumbles through my chest in an interesting way. I turn and lose myself in those deep blue eyes that caught my attention earlier. "Something wrong with it?" he asks, startling me out of my daydream. I cough to cover my embarrassment and reach up to take the cup that matches the size of Tracy's. Unlike hers, my drink is hot and there's far more of it than I expected. "I thought I ordered a tall." "You did. I upgraded you to a lofty," Jake says with a smirk that does something to my insides. "Let's call it a first-time customer bonus." "You didn't need to do that." I wrap both hands around the large cup, allowing the warmth to seep into my fingers. "I know." The man winks, actually winks at me, and strolls off, giving me a nice view of a pair of well-fitting jeans. "He's something, isn't he?" Tracy sighs before taking a call from her husband. I sip my latte, which is surprisingly good. And probably a much better explanation for the coffee shop's popularity than this wishing wall I keep hearing about. The barista eye candy probably doesn't hurt either. A few more people stop by the wishing wall. Most of them scan through the notes before finding a seat. A shy young woman with her hair pulled back into a ponytail scribbles a few notes on a card before quickly tacking it up and rushing off. People really believe in this, don't they? I turn back to Tracy, who's wrapped up her call. Of course we do. Tracy grabs her purse and picks up her cup. You'll come around when you see a few of them come true. By the time I'm done with my latte, I have a page of notes about a segment I'm ready to pitch to my producer. I dial his number as I walk out of Coffee Loft and head down the road to my car. What did you think? Thomas asks. It's popular, that's for sure. I laugh, tempted to turn back to see if there's a line forming at the glass door. And you were right. The coffee is excellent. What's the story? Thomas isn't one for chit-chat. I mentally flip through the hooks I've come up with. They have a fresh spin on all the popular coffee drinks. But I don't think anyone wants another pumpkin spice story. Right? I notice doubt in his tone. The popularity of the cinnamon and clove spice mixture has been hard to beat when the temperatures start to dip after another hot and humid summer. I'm thinking this is a human interest piece. A story about community. And a place where wishes come true.
Chapter 2. Jake. Are you open? A young woman calls from across the street when I'm turning the key to unlock the front door to Coffee Loft. Not yet. Give me 15 minutes. I shut the door behind me and relock it for good measure. As much as I love the recent success of this particular Coffee Loft franchise, it comes with its downside. Being stalled at 5:30 in the morning is one of them. My first stop is the coffee grinder. I pulverize a batch of blonde roasted beans and start the first pot of the day. The familiar aroma with floral tones settles me and instantly improves my mood. While it runs, I take a gander over to the wishing wall. A sense of pride fills me when I see a fresh set of note cards. I pull a pen and pad from my back pocket and get to work. The wishes are left anonymously. Some people share their first name or initials, but for the most part, it's up to me and my fellow baristas to keep an eye on who puts up each of the cards, making a note of their names. A quick glance at their credit or debit card usually gives me what I need to get started on the wish. When it doesn't, I have a little chat with them on their next visit. A regular is looking for a long list of childhood friends. A shy guy who orders black coffee every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday wishes for the courage to ask his longtime crush on a date. A couple who meet here once a week. Oh good, you're here. Matthew, the owner, walks in, the young woman from earlier in tow. I'm not sure why he's surprised. I've opened the coffee shop every morning since he hired me. And it smells like there's coffee. The woman steps to the counter. Please tell me it's ready. I'm in desperate need of a caffeine fix. I laugh and stroll over, pouring 3 cups and handing her one. Here you go. This one's on the house. Matthew raises an eyebrow but doesn't say anything. Thanks. She takes her coffee and sips it, sighing happily before rushing out the door. I get back to work, priming the espresso makers and setting out a fresh assortment of baked goods. Matthew putters around the office and walks out with the cash drawer for the register a minute before 6. Ready to open the door? I ask, looking at him across the cup that holds the last sip of my coffee. As ready as I'll ever be. Matthew takes his position behind the counter, and I head over to flip the sign to open. The door is still unlocked, and I'm surprised none of the small group of people waiting outside has tried to enter. I pull it open and wave them inside. Welcome to Coffee Loft. We spend a good hour and a half working through the morning rush, struggling to keep up until Julie comes in, 30 minutes late because of a flat tire. That's the third one this month, Matthew grumbles while she ties her apron around her waist and takes her place next to me. I know. I wish I could afford a fresh set of tires. She steams a small pitcher of milk. I don't think they'll plug them again. I had to talk them into it this time. Matthew coughs and turns to face her. I'll see if I can get you a few more hours over the weekend if you'd like. I'm happy to cut back for a couple of weeks. I could use a bit of a break. I have yet to do much exploring around Wilmington and wouldn't mind spending a day on the beach before the weather turns too cold to go for a dip in the Atlantic. Won't be necessary, Matthew grumbles. Sales have picked up enough. I'm actually considering hiring someone else part-time. I'd love to go full-time, Julie says. What about your acting? Matthew raises an eyebrow. Let's just say it isn't going as well as I'd hoped. Julie shrugs. I'm taking some classes, but for now, I'm considering myself a full-time barista. If you're on board with that. Can you start this week? Matthew asks. When she nods, he heads to the small office in the back to rework the schedule. Sorry about the acting. I don't know what else to say. I don't know Julie well, but it's clear she's passionate about it, and from the few commercials she's shown me on YouTube, she looks pretty good at it to me. But what do I know? It'll turn around. I heard about this bar downtown where a lot of actors and producers hang out. Want to go check it out with me tonight? Julie asks. I'm torn. I don't like the idea of the young woman heading out on her own. She's barely old enough to drink. At the same time, I don't want her to get the wrong idea. One drink. She flutters her eyelashes at me. I'm buying. One drink, I agree. You're the best. She grins and pops a cake pop that fell off its stick into her mouth. Matthew rejoins us when the crowd thins. I'll go straighten the tables. Julie grabs a cleaning rag and our eco-friendly disinfectant spray, then rushes to a set of tables that were recently vacated. I love what you're doing with that wishing wall of yours, Matthew says while I collect a tray of dirty coffee cups. Thanks for letting me put it up. The idea for the community board had popped into my head on my first day here, after listening to a young mom wishing for another adult to talk with. I managed to mix up her drink order with that of another woman who looked to be about her age, and the two of them hit it off, meeting here at least twice a week to have coffee and catch up. If you ask me, it's the big reason business has picked up the way it has, Matthew says, looking pleased. That and your latte art skills. I scoff. If there's one thing I'm not good at, it's drawing hearts and swirls with foamed milk and the dark liquid beneath. I'm serious. I got an email from a TV producer asking if we'd mind if a camera crew stopped by sometime this week. I guess some reporters stopped in and took an interest. He leans against the counter, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. I told them to stop by any time. Of course you did, I mutter under my breath, turning to hide my annoyance. With my luck, they'll show up during the morning rush. What was that? Matthew asks. Happy to help any way I can, I say when I turn back. Though I'm not sure what there is to report about any of this. I wave my hands around the shop. It's cozy and Matthew is right. Business has picked up. We could tell them about the new lineup of fall drinks, I guess. He shakes his head. This isn't going to be some pumpkin spice story. They want to interview you about your wishing wall. I groan. For the first time since nailing up the large corkboard, I'm regretting my idea of bringing the caffeine-loving community of this side of Wilmington together. Chin up, you'll do great. Matthew pats me on the shoulder, pours himself the last of the regular coffee, and disappears into his office. As the morning progresses, I find myself wondering who this TV reporter could be. When I catch a glimpse of someone with dark locks and olive skin, I think back on the beauty who brightened my day yesterday. I don't know her name, but Vanilla Spice Latte had taken an interest in the wall as well. Surely it couldn't be her, could it? What's gotten into you? Julie asks when she rushes over to take the order of a customer who must have been trying to get my attention. Nothing. I focus my attention back to the task at hand. Right. She watches me like a hawk as morning turns to afternoon. And no matter how hard I try, I can't stop thinking about the woman from yesterday. Each time the bell above the door chimes, my eyes flicker there, hoping to see her waltz in and order another coffee. To distract myself, I pull out my notes from this morning. There is a wish I can't get out of my mind. I walk back to the wall to refresh my memory before knocking on the door to the boss's office. Come on in. Matthew leans back in his chair and shuts his laptop. How would you feel about using the coffee shop as a venue for a romantic anniversary dinner? I ask. Jake Harrison, I didn't know you were attached. I laugh and shake my head before filling him in on the wish of an elderly couple who are regulars. Hank wants to do something nice for Louise, but they're on a fixed income. I'd love to set up a romantic dinner for them here. Matthew's eyes gleam with excitement. Let's do it. And see if we can take pictures to share on social media. Maybe we can get the camera crew to film it. Before he can shoot off an email to the TV producer, I shake my head. I think this is more of a private affair. We wouldn't want to take advantage of their situation. Oh. Matthew moves his hand away from the laptop he was about to crack back open. That's a good point. What else do you have on that wall of yours that we could use?
Chapter 3. Sophia. Head in the game, Sophia, I tell myself when I'm distracted by the sight of the man before I even enter Coffee Loft. My mind has spent too much time the past 3 days returning to the memory of him. The way his jeans hug his legs. The way a simple t-shirt shows off his toned upper body. Don't even get me started on those eyes of his. And I don't even know the guy's last name. I square my shoulders, suck in a deep breath of the cool morning air coming off the river, and pull the door open. Welcome back. His voice is as rich and deep as the aroma of coffee, sugar, and cinnamon swirling around us. I couldn't stay away for long. I smile, feeling decidedly like a teenager with a crush. Hopefully, with at least a hint of more confidence. I'm not surprised. He grins, and my heartbeat ratchets up another notch. Spiced vanilla latte? Make it lofty, I say, secretly pleased. Coming right up. Anything else for you this morning? He asks as I hand him my credit card. I glance across the pastries on display. I'll take one of those cinnamon rolls, please. Good choice. His eyes sparkle, drawing me in. They are a deeper blue than I remember, with tiny flecks of gold reflecting the light from the ceiling fixture above. It reminds me a little of my favorite Van Gogh painting. Our fingers touch when he hands me the sticky pastry on a plate. My heart skips a beat and I bite my lip to keep from saying something I'll regret immediately. Thanks, I mumble instead and turn to head to the table I sat at yesterday. Unfortunately, it's occupied by a couple who look only a few sips into a lengthy coffee date. At least I hope so for his sake. He looks smitten with the petite blonde across from him. There's an open seat over here. I follow the barista's outstretched hand to the bar beside the counter and the open stool. Thanks. I'm Sophia, by the way. He returns my card. I'm Jake. Nice to meet you, Jake. Likewise. His head turns when a group of women enters the shop. Grab a seat. I'll bring your lofty latte out as soon as it's ready. I place the plate that holds my cinnamon roll on the counter and hop onto the tall bar stool he'd pointed out. My computer bag is securely stashed below my feet, and I look around. It's not a bad spot. From my current vantage point, I can see most of the coffee shop, including a full view of the wishing wall that grabbed my attention during my previous visit. I'm full of questions by the time he shows up with my drink. Mind if I ask you some questions about this? I point to the wall. Not at all. Fire away. He leans against the counter. This was your idea? He nods. I've been toying around with it for a while. When I moved here and saw that blank space on the back wall, I thought the time was right. Can you tell me more about how you came up with it? I reach down for my bag and dig around for a pen and notebook. Why? Jake asks, his eyes narrowing when I get ready to take notes. I work for Wilm. We'd love to do a story about your wall. Jake pushes himself off, and the friendly smile is gone in a flash. I don't think so. I close my notebook and follow him to the counter. Why not? It's a great idea. He shakes his head and looks around, undoubtedly hoping for a customer to walk up with a complicated coffee order. Lucky for me, the morning rush is over and only a few patrons remain inside Coffee Loft. I hold up my hands. I'm not looking for anything sensational. This will be a human interest piece, showing the good work you're doing here, I say. For the local community. His features soften ever so slightly. I don't know. It would be good for business, I add, giving him my most winning smile. What's good for business? A man dressed in a button-down shirt and khaki pants asks, walking out of a small office in the back. A feature about Jake's wishing wall at Wilm, I say, holding out my hand at the man I'm guessing is either the owner or manager of this establishment. Sophia Martinez. He takes it and shakes it. Matthew Dalton. Matthew loves it when I run through the basics of my idea. He got a call from my boss yesterday and is completely on board. Jake stays quiet, his lips pressed tightly together. It could help with fulfilling the wishes. I stare at him, willing him to see the good that can come from this. How? He crosses his arms across his broad chest. Go grab a card. The next wish you want to work on fulfilling, I say, my voice soft enough so it doesn't carry through the noisy place. Despite this, he looks first over my shoulder, then his, before walking up to the wishing wall. He returns a moment later with a card in his hand. Interesting choice. I read over the wish. I can work with this. Can you? His eyebrow raises in a move that's becoming oddly familiar. Of course I can. Watch and be amazed. I turn to walk back to my spot, pulling my phone from my back pocket, ready to get to work. A large hand grips my shoulder. Wait. For what? I hear the challenge in my voice. You really think you can help make this wish come true? He asks, handing me the index card. I do. My eyes fly over the information for a second time, ideas racing through my mind. We can give them a day they will never forget and document the process for posterity. What about them? Jake points to the card that holds the wish of a father and daughter for a special day out together. Wouldn't having a camera crew follow them ruin the whole thing? Not if we do it right, I say. And we will. I promise we won't get in the way. And it could do a lot of good. Jake doesn't look convinced. It could encourage more people to post wishes, and I promise it'll open doors to help make them come true. His features soften ever so slightly. And I promise we won't go ahead with this until we talk to the dad. If he doesn't think it's a good idea, we won't film. I take a step closer. And I'll help you give them the best day of their lives, no matter what he decides. Sure about that? His eyebrow raises again. Pinky promise. I hold out my hand and watch his lips twitch up into a grin. He links his pinky with mine. I'll take you up on that. Great. I'd better get to work then. By the time I walk out of Coffee Loft and back to my car, I have pages full of notes and several irons in the fire to give one little girl a day she won't soon forget. I hope you have an update for me, my boss says when I call him. When do I have my wishing wall story? With a little luck, by the end of the week. I catch him up on everything that's happened, including my promise to Jake. The father better come through then, he grumbles. And you watch yourself. From where I'm sitting, you sound smitten with this Jake guy. He isn't wrong, and I can't wait to see more of my favorite barista over the coming days.
Chapter 4. Jake. Ready to get started? Sophia calls out as I walk up to Coffee Loft. I look at my watch. It's barely 8:30 and we're not supposed to meet for another half an hour. Sorry. She grins, pulling her thick dark hair into a ponytail, looking like she isn't regretting this the least bit. I'm early. I return the smile, loving her excitement. We both are. In that case, let's get some coffee and get started. She pulls the door open and marches inside before I get a chance to hold it for her. Shaking my head, I follow her inside and place our coffee order. Keep them coming, I tell Catherine, who's working the early shift on my rare day off. You've got it, Jake. She slides me a piece of paper with a few notes scribbled down about this morning's activity at the wishing wall. Without the help of her and the rest of my colleagues, I couldn't keep track of who posts what. It's supposed to be anonymous after all. At least as much as it can be. Vanilla spice latte? Sophia asks when I hand her the drink. She takes a sip and sighs deeply. I get it. I appreciate my first cup of light roast trip just as much. Sufficiently caffeinated, we dig into our respective notes about the father and daughter date we're putting together. How do you think Michael and Lily would feel about a trip to the aquarium? Sophia asks. That's something they could do any day of the week. Not if we make a private tour. Get someone to take them around, but also leave plenty of space for the two of them to bond. Sophia scribbles down notes. I was in there for a segment a few weeks ago. I think it would be perfect for someone Lily's age. She isn't wrong. The place is on my short list of venues. I like it. Want me to make a few calls? I'm sure the station has contacts. I hold up my hand. I've got this one. Her eyes light up, and she sits back, putting her pen behind her ear. Do you, now? You have connections at the aquarium? I've made all sorts of connections in town. Pride fills my chest at what I've been able to accomplish through hard work and dedication in the few months I've been here. I happen to know the director. Interesting. Sophie picks her pen back up and leans down, her gaze skimming the notes she's been making. In that case, why don't I focus on lunch, then? I'm thinking picnic at the park down the street. Maybe send them on a treasure hunt after they eat? Isn't that a bit much? I'm worried about overwhelming the little girl. You're right. Maybe an art project or a puppy snuggle session. Her eyes are gleaming with excitement. She's going to want to take a puppy home, and I'm not sure Michael has time for that. The whole point of the widower's wish was to make time for his daughter. Something he struggled with since the death of his wife. His business takes most of his time and attention. Right. We'll do something fun and creative that they can take home and put up on the fridge. Something to help them remember their special day together. My lips twitch. I thought that's what the filming was for. Sophia laughs, the sound traveling through the entire loft. Heads turn. You know what I mean. I want them to have a memento. I do. I watch her carefully and notice the moment another thought flashes through her mind. I can almost see it light up those deep brown eyes of hers, turning them an amber color. She scribbles fast and furious before taking another sip of her coffee. If the picnic works for you, I will get started on that while you call the director about a tour. I recognize a challenge when I hear it. Rising to my feet, I pick up my phone and my coffee. I'll call Brenda right now. Good luck, Sophia calls as I walk into the back room that's employee access only. I can't shake the feeling that she thinks I can't pull this off. I'm about to prove you wrong, woman, I mutter while scrolling through my contacts. Then, after the tour of the museum, we'll take you down to the park. I'll have a picnic waiting for the two of you. Does Lily have any dietary restrictions? Sophia asks. Michael has a glazed look over his eyes. My new partner in crime has been talking nonstop since we've been seated at the diner close to his office. I hold up a hand. Let's give the man a minute to process and decide if this is what he wants to do. Michael shoots me a grateful look. The aquarium sounds like a good idea. Do you have a date in mind? They are usually closed on Tuesdays. Would any of these dates work for you? I slide a list I made during my call with Brenda his way. I could take next Tuesday off, and I'm sure Lily's teacher wouldn't mind if she played hooky. Sophie slides the paper toward herself and circles the date in red ink. I can make next Tuesday work. Jake? I nod and take a sip of my iced tea. There's one more thing we should discuss. Sophia? She clears her throat and forces a smile to her face. For the first time in the few days I've known her, she doesn't look completely confident in what she's doing. I would like to have a small crew film your day with Lily. In a very unobtrusive way, of course. Why? Michael looks confused. His gaze travels from her to me and back. I work for WILM-TV. I thought you looked familiar. Recognition washes over his face. It might be nice to have something to look back on in a few years, I say, trying and failing to judge how he feels about this. I'm impressed with everything Sophia has gotten accomplished so far, and her attention to detail is impressive. But this is asking a lot. And wouldn't it be nice to give back? Sophia asks. Help Jake get the word out about this wishing wall. It could do a lot of good. And I'm sure it wouldn't hurt business either. Michael leans back in his chair. I assure you, our main focus is to give you and your daughter the special day you both deserve. I will personally make sure nothing will get in the way of that. Sophia sounds sincere, and I believe her. I get that you need something out of this, Michael says, sounding tired. Before I can respond, Sophia speaks up. That's not what this is about, and it's not why I'm involved. Yes, I think it would make for a good story, but I don't want you to agree to it out of a feeling of obligation. It could inspire other fathers to take their daughters out on a special date, I say. That's something to think about, Michael admits. Can I think about it? How about this? Sophie asks. We film it, discreetly, but I won't do anything with the footage unless I get your okay. And you get to keep a copy of it, regardless. Give me right of refusal after I see the finished segment in addition to that, and you have yourself a deal, Michael says. And no interviewing my daughter. Can I ask her a few questions about how she liked the day? Sophia asks. Off camera. He crosses his arms. Deal. But you are fair game? Sophia asks. When Michael nods, she holds out her hand. In that case, we have a deal. I'll get it put into writing. Michael shakes her hand and glances down at his phone. If that's everything, I should head back to the office. Lily has no allergies, and I am fine with any arrangements you want to make for lunch at the park. I'm sure she'll love anything the two of you come up with. One more thing, Sophie flips through her notes. With your permission, I would like to reach out to a local children's book author. Why? This time I'm the one looking surprised. I thought it would be nice to have a personalized book about their special day created. I did something similar for my nieces for Christmas, and they love their books. Sophia flips to a printed page. This gives you an idea of what it would look like. Michael takes a look and I try to get a peek, stunned at how involved Sophia is getting and how invested she is to make this day as memorable as possible for Lily. I think it's a great idea. Michael thanks both of us and heads out, leaving the two of us to finish lunch. You've put a lot of thought into this, I say after he's gone. So have you. At least, I'm only working on one wish, she says with another one of those big smiles of hers. Her words stay with me long after we finish our meal and part ways. On the way back to my place, I can't help wondering if there could be more to this than a one-wish collaboration. I kinda like having someone work with me, alongside me. A true partner who cares as much as I do about making the world a better place. One cup of coffee and one wish at a time.
Chapter 5. Sophia. Yes, I've seen the notifications. They've been blowing up my phone all night. I pour myself a cup of coffee, adding several spoons of sugar and a healthy splash of cream. I've never seen anything like this. My producer sounds more excited than I've ever heard him. Thomas is usually the perfect image of cool, calm, and collected. Not this morning, though. It's a touching story. I take a sip of my coffee and grimace. Drinkable, but nothing like the spiced vanilla lattes I've been getting from Coffee Loft. Everyone is excited. I hope you can deliver today. Doubt creeps into my boss's voice. I laugh it off, wishing I was as confident as I sound. Lily and Michael will have an amazing day. I've planned every detail. Don't worry, I'll deliver. Don't I always? Thomas scoffs. You better share some pictures and video clips throughout the day. Keep the momentum going. I shake my head, aware he can't see me. I'll see what I can do. The last thing we need is for strangers to show up and ruin the special father-daughter outing Jake and I have spent a full week planning. I need this to go off without a hitch and not just for Thomas's sake. I'm getting ready to post another teaser, I say to appease him. Then I'm heading out or I'll be late. Keep me in the loop, Thomas says before I get a chance to push the button to end the call. I finish my mediocre coffee while making the cryptic post across multiple social media platforms, inviting people to follow along to see Lily and Michael's story unfold. The engagement is immediate and continues while I get dressed and rush out the door to make it to Coffee Loft in time. Who's up and on their phones this early? I shake my head and push the door open. The scent of quality coffee greets me, and Catherine, one of Jake's colleagues, ushers me into a back room. Jake is waiting with Michael and Lily. He hands me a tall cup of coffee. One sniff tells me it's my favorite. Sorry I'm late, I say. You're not. Jake smiles. The man looks as excited about today as I feel. Unlike me, he doesn't seem the least bit nervous. Lily woke up early, Michael says. Too excited to sleep in. Sleep in? It's barely 6 in the morning and we aren't due at the aquarium until 7. Michael chuckles. I'm lucky if she doesn't wake me before my 6 a.m. alarm most days. I like having cereal with Daddy. Lily stays close to her father, holding on to him with one hand, cradling a tiny pink unicorn purse with the other. She's shy, but there's a little sparkle in the young girl's eyes. The door opens and Catherine walks in with a fresh set of coffees and pastries. I have a hot chocolate and a cinnamon roll with your name on it, she said to Lily. The girl's blue eyes grow big, and she reaches for them but stops herself. She looks up at her father and when he nods, she accepts the breakfast treats. We should go over today's itinerary. I take the opportunity to give Michael a refresher on how today will play out. He pays attention, while simultaneously caring for his daughter. I get a glimpse of the loving father he is when he makes time for his little girl. I can't thank you enough for putting all of this together. Michael takes a sip of coffee. It's our pleasure. Jake leans back in his chair, looking entirely too relaxed. Lily dances around the room, fueled by her sugary treat. The last of her shyness is melted by the hot chocolate. Traces of it stick to the corners of her lips until her father gently wipes them away. Can we go now? She asks. Before I get a chance to respond, a phone rings. Michael groans and answers the call. He stands and turns his back to us. I told you, I'm not available today. I shoot a worried glance at Jake while Lily rolls her eyes. Get Sylvia to take care of it. She can handle anything that might come up, Michael says. And Andy? Don't call again unless it is a true emergency. Lily's mouth gapes when he turns back to face us. You mean it? Michael pulls his daughter up into his arms. Today is all about you and me, pumpkin. Ready to go? Lily giggles and nods her assent vigorously. She's still laughing by the time we pile into my car and head to the aquarium where Jake introduces them to Brenda, the director who is taking us on this morning's private tour. I hope this isn't too early for you. I thought you might enjoy helping us feed the fish their breakfast, the middle-aged woman with perfectly styled auburn hair says. All of them? Lily looks up at the large building. Brenda laughs. Not all of them, but how about we start with my favorites? She holds her hand out and Lily takes it, accompanying her to the front door. This is my camera team. I quickly introduce them to Michael. They'll stay out of your way, but if you're up for it, I'd love to do a brief interview if the opportunity presents itself. Of course. A deal is a deal, Michael says. Everything goes smoothly as we move from one exhibit area to another, stepping into the employee-only sections from time to feed a group of exotic fish, stingrays, and Lily's favorite, the penguins I'd forgotten about. Do you have dolphins? She asks after petting a ray with her father. Brenda shakes her head. Dolphins are very social creatures. They love to talk and play like you do. We don't have enough room for them here. Lily doesn't look like she believes her. I turn to help the camera crew set up the next shot when Jake joins us. I don't know how you do it, he says. Do what? I look at him curiously. Balance getting these candid shots while letting Michael and Lily enjoy themselves. He points first at the camera, then at my phone. I've done a little shooting of my own, waiting to share some snapshots of the experience here once we make it to the park. Thank you. I don't know what else to say, but the approval in his eyes warms me to the core. Busy working already? Jake asks. I'm sitting in the shade of a tall oak tree, putting together a short slideshow of images for the station's Instagram account. Of course. It's what I do. You did an amazing job. I love the cake. He ticks his head in the direction of the picnic table where Michael and Lily are busy sharing plates of peanut butter and raspberry jam sandwiches with a side of veggie tots, carrots, and ranch dressing. It seemed fitting. The moment I saw the ocean-themed design at a local Wilmington bakery, I knew it would be perfect for today. Did I tell you the bakery donated the cake? Jake shakes his head. And how did you know about her favorite foods? That one was easy. I called Michael and asked. I laugh. He joins me, and I hit publish on my social media post when Lily comes running up to us. Are you ready for cake? She asks, her eyes blazing with delight. Absolutely. Jake jumps to his feet. He holds a hand out to me, but I decline it when I see her running off. Hold up, I need a picture first. I take a series of them. The cake itself, the father and daughter cutting it, and of course Lily trying the first bite. It's perfect, she declares, pulling the dolphin out of the frosting and licking the fins. But there are no dolphins at the aquarium. They don't have enough room for them to play. Sorry about that. She shrugs and tucks the plastic figure into her purse. It's okay. You didn't know. I didn't either. What was your favorite part? I ask, launching into a gentle interview. It doesn't last long, but there's enough for my report, and I enjoy watching her rush off to the playground with her dad. This is the payoff. Jake takes a seat and slides me a slice of the cake. Watching them? My gaze follows the couple as they deepen their bond and make memories that I'm sure will last a lifetime. Or the cake? Yes. Jake takes a bite of the cake. A little blue frosting sticks to his bottom lip and I watch him lick it off, surprised how much the simple act affects me. I turn my back and return to watching Michael and Lily. My mind flashes back to my own childhood, and I wonder if I'll ever have this kind of bond with a child. Are you Sophia? The voice startles me out of my daydream and I look up and into the eyes of a woman who looks vaguely familiar. I am. I get to my feet and hold out my hand. Sophia Martinez, WILMTV. Then you are the one I'm looking for. She shakes her long red strands and flips them across her shoulder. Lori Carpenter. Children's book author. I hope I'm not late. Not at all. You're right on time. I turn in motion to my partner in today's endeavor. This is Jake Harrison. Ah, the famous inventor of the wishing wall. Lori holds out her hand. Her fingers are long and end in a perfect French manicure. He shakes it, and I'm surprised by the pangs of jealousy I feel. I shove those feelings into a box and tuck it away in the deep recesses of my mind. Lori is who I hired to create the custom book for Lily, I explain before turning back to the author. Did you bring it? Lori laughs. Of course I did. She pulls a colorful book about a tale of a little girl and a dolphin from the tote bag slung across her shoulder and hands it to me. Together, Jake and I flip through it. He's so close I feel the warmth of his body and smell the scent of coffee on his breath. This is beautiful. She'll love it. Jake returns the book, and we chat while we wait for Michael and Lily to make their way back to us. Who are you? Lily asks when she skips over. I'm Lori, and I have something for you to help you remember today, the author says. Michael puts a hand on his daughter's shoulder and looks from me to Jake. I asked her to join us, I say quickly to remind him. Sophia asked me to make this for you. Lori hands the book to Lily. She takes the book and shows it to her father. Can we read it together? Of course. I watch the two of them read the story out loud, motioning for my camera crew to get a shot. Is this necessary? Jake asks, raising an eyebrow. You got a bunch of footage earlier. It's the perfect shot to end the segment. I can see the entire story arc play out before me, and my fingers itch to edit it for this weekend's segment. The perfect uplifting story at the end of a long week for our viewers. And there's no harm done, Lori says, coming to my defense. When Michael and Lily finish the story, she offers to sign it and takes a selfie with father and daughter. When I grow up, I want to be an author like you. Lily looks up at the woman. Are you good at telling stories? Lori asks. When Lily nods, she encourages her to tell one and listens attentively. You have the gift. Keep telling stories. Draw them and get your dad to help you write them down. Her mother used to read to her every day, Michael says. It's a good habit for any child, Lori says. My dad doesn't really have time to read books. Lily crawls in his lap, clutching her new book to her chest. I'm going to make time, Michael says. Stories are important. As Lori leaves, I find myself thinking about how stories have the power to heal. I've seen it play out in front of my eyes and my camera lens today. And they have the power to bring people together, including a father and daughter struggling to cope with grief. Can I have more cake? Lily asks after more time on the playground. One more slice. I don't want you to spoil your dinner. Michael looks at her indulgently. Who's having cake with me? The little girl asks. Her dad shakes his head, and I can't take more than one slice. I'll have cake with you, Jake says. If you cut it for us. I can do that. Lily grabs his hand and pulls him to the far end of the picnic table where the cake is waiting. Michael takes a seat beside me. Thank you for today. My pleasure. He looks like he could use one of Jake's lofty lattes after all the fun and excitement. I hope it was enough to fulfill your wish. More than enough. A smile spreads across the father's face. Today reminded me of what it was like when my wife and I took her places. Went on vacation together. It was the reminder I needed. I'm glad. Today is something she'll never forget, he says. Something neither one of us will ever forget. I can't help smiling. Memories are important. They are. We watch Lily and Jake finish their cake before racing around the park for a while. By the time they are back, beads of sweat dot Lily's face. A few wispy strands of hair are curling from the moisture caused by the late afternoon sun and all the play. Did you have a good day? Jake asks, watching her small face carefully. The best. Lily climbs into her father's lap and settles down. While the three of us chat, her eyes begin to droop. We should leave and let you take her home. I stand and hand him the pink purse that holds the dolphin. Jake and I clean up the remnants of the picnic, and I wrap up the last of the cake for Lily. She falls asleep holding her dad's hand on the ride back to Coffee Loft. I don't know how to thank you, Michael says, cradling his daughter to his chest after getting her out of the car seat. Watching the two of you enjoy yourselves is all the thanks I need, Jake says. Are you sure? He looks at each of us in turn. We're sure. I assure him. I'll be in touch later in the week with the footage and you can decide how you feel about letting me air it. Michael nods, and Jake rushes to open the door to his car for him. After watching him and his daughter pull out of the parking lot, Jake turns to me. Can I interest you in another cup of coffee? I'd love that. I follow him inside the closed shop, watching him relock the door behind us. I have all the footage from today if you want a sneak peek. Why not? He strolls behind the counter and turns on the large stainless steel espresso maker. Vanilla latte or something with a little less caffeine? I laugh at the absurdity of his question. I plan on editing all of this into a preview trailer tonight. I'm going to need all the caffeine I can get. Jake chuckles and gets to work. By the time we've finished our drinks, I have a short video ready to share that hints at just enough of the story I was lucky enough to witness today. Without thinking, I reach across the table and put my hand over his. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. My heart beats a million miles a minute, and it doesn't have anything to do with the double shot of espresso he put in my latte. I'm falling fast and hard for Jake Harrison, the wishing wall guy.
Chapter 6. Jake. It's barely dawn when I arrive at Coffee Loft the next morning, but my mind is already racing, replaying yesterday's events. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Catherine rushing over, nearly avoiding a collision with someone riding their bike down the quiet street. Digging around for my keys, I reflect on what a difference Michael and Lily's special day has made. Still lost in memories, I unlock the door and hold it open so Catherine can slip in after me. It was everything I hoped for when I first dreamed up the wishing wall, and then some. And that then some is all thanks to Sophia. I can't help smiling as I remember her excitement, her attention to detail, and the way she balanced capturing the story with letting father and daughter enjoy their time together. She brought a whole new dimension to fulfilling wishes that I hadn't even considered. Earth to Jake, Catherine's voice breaks through my reverie. You planning on turning on the lights, or are we going for a romantic candlelit vibe this morning? I laugh, flipping the switches. Sorry, just lost in thought. Thinking about a certain reporter? Catherine widles her eyebrows as she ties on her apron. I was thinking about yesterday's wish, I say, avoiding her gaze as I start prepping the espresso machine. Sure. She doesn't sound convinced. Speaking of wishes, we had quite a few new ones pop up on the wall yesterday. Want me to catch you up? I nod, grateful for the change of subject. Hit me. As Catherine runs through the list of new wishes and hands me a note of the names of the people who posted them, I can't help feeling a sense of accomplishment. The wishing wall is really taking off, touching more lives than I ever imagined possible. Oh, and you might want to check out social media, Catherine says, a mischievous glint in her eye. Sophia's posts about yesterday are blowing up. I pull out my phone, curiosity getting the better of me. Sure enough, Sophia's posts about Michael and Lily's day are everywhere. The comments are overwhelmingly positive, with people praising the idea of the wishing wall and asking how they can get involved. Looks like you've got a hit on your hands, Catherine says, peering over my shoulder. And a pretty talented partner, to boot. My cheeks warm. Sophia's just doing her job. Right, and the way you two were looking at each other yesterday was nothing but professional courtesy? Catherine snorts. Face it, Jake. You're smitten. Before I get a chance to respond, the bell above the door chimes and the first stream of customers pour in. It doesn't let up long enough for us to catch our breaths. Is it me, or is it busier than usual? Catherine asks while making yet another pumpkin spice latte. Definitely busier. I'm taking orders and making drinks as fast as I can to keep up. By the time Matthew walks in, the coffee shop is humming. He looks around and a huge grin spreads across his face. Business is booming, isn't it? I nod and get back to work. He ties an apron around his waist and takes over at the register. An hour later, there's a lull and I get a chance to catch my breath and make myself a much-needed Americano. Jake, I have to hand it to you. Matthew walks over, clapping me on the shoulder. This wishing wall of yours is the best thing that's ever happened to this franchise. I can't help smiling at his enthusiasm. Glad it's working out for the business, Matthew. Working out? It's a goldmine of good PR. He pulls out his tablet, showing me how often the small coffee shop has been mentioned across various social media sites in the past 24 hours. If we keep this up, we could be looking at expansion opportunities by the end of the year. As Matthew continues to gush about potential growth, a fresh set of customers stream in. I excuse myself to help Catherine fulfill the counter, grateful for the distraction. As I work, my mind wanders to the wishing wall. What should the next wish be? There are so many deserving ones, each with its own potential to make a difference. A young student wishing for help with college tuition, an elderly couple hoping to renew their vows, a single mom looking for a break. One lofty caramel macchiato, I call out, handing the drink to Fiona, one of our regular customers. Thanks, Jake, she says, then hesitates. Hey, I just wanted to say, what you're doing with that wishing wall. It's really something special. A warmth spreads through my chest. Thank you. That means a lot. By the time Julie and Catherine come in and the morning rush dies down, I find myself gravitating toward the wishing wall. I scan the new wishes, each one tugging at my heartstrings in its own way. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Sophia's name flashes on the screen, and the flutters in my stomach have nothing to do with the 3 shots of espresso I had this morning. Hey Sophia, I answer, trying to keep my voice casual. Jake! Are you busy? She sounds excited. But when have I ever seen her anything but enthusiastic? The woman is a powerhouse. Just the usual morning madness. What's up? I ask. Could you meet me at the local community center? There's something you need to see. I glance at the clock, then at Catherine, who's already shooing me toward the door. I can be there in 20 minutes. Is everything okay? Everything's great, Sophia assures me. Just trust me on this one, okay? I end the call and hang up my apron, my mind spinning with ideas. Whatever Sophia's planned, I have a feeling it's going to be good. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm looking forward to seeing her just as much as I am to finding out what she's up to. I make us each a coffee to go and look around the building to see if there's anything else I should take care of before heading out. Go on, Catherine says, practically pushing me out the door. I've got things covered here. And Jake? I turn back, raising an eyebrow. Don't forget to breathe when you see her, she teases. I roll my eyes, but the heat rises in my cheeks as I walk out, eager to drive off. I spot her car the moment I pull into the community center parking lot. My heart rate picks up a notch as I grab the 2 coffees from the cup holder. I'm not sure when I started automatically getting her a lofty spiced vanilla latte along with my own drink, but it's becoming a thing. As I walk toward the entrance, I see her through the glass doors. She's pacing, her dark hair swaying with each step, completely absorbed in whatever she's reading on her phone. The sight of her hits me like a punch to the gut. I'm falling for her, hard and fast, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. Who knows what will happen when she's done with her story about the wishing wall. Hey, I say, as I push through the door. I come bearing caffeine. Sophia looks up, a huge smile spreading across her face that makes my knees weak. My hero, she says, reaching for the cup. Our fingers brush as I hand it to her, and I feel a spark of electricity that has nothing to do with the dry air or the carpet below our feet. So, what's this all about? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Future wishing wall projects, she says, excitement evident in her voice. But first, catch me up. Any new wishes? I nod, pulling out my phone. A few. There's one from a high school student looking for help with college tuition and another from a couple wanting to renew their vows. I've been meaning to ask. How do you keep track of who's wishing for what? Sophia asks, curiosity gleaming in her eyes. There are no names on those index cards. I chuckle. It's an elaborate system that involves everyone working at the coffee shop. She raises an eyebrow. Explain. I rope my fellow baristas into paying attention to who puts up a card. We make a note of their name and take it from there. So far, most of the wishes have come from regulars. How do you get their names? She asks. It's on their credit cards. What if someone pays with cash? Sophia looks up at me, her gaze intent and her mind whirling. It's rarely an issue, and no matter what, we need at least their first name so we can call out the order. What I don't tell her is that most of us are good at small talk and get a surprising amount of information out of even the briefest of interactions. Provided we aren't as slammed as we were this morning. Sophia's eyes light up. Clever. Do you have names for these new wishes? Or whatever you want to work on next? I do. They are on my phone in a file backed up to the cloud, so I don't risk losing it. Want to share with the class? Sophia asks, motioning to a large table with more than a dozen chairs set up around it. From the look of it, she's occupied one of them. Her laptop, several notebooks, and various papers are scattered across it. I follow her and take the seat across from hers. Why don't you tell me why you asked me here? Sophia looks around, then shakes her head. I'm waiting for someone to join us. Looks like they are running late. Let's start with the next wish. I scroll through my phone and show her what I have so far. It isn't much. Mind if I do a little digging? She asks, fingers hovering over her keyboard. For the half an hour we huddle together, Sophia working her social media magic to find out more about each wishmaker. It's more than I've ever been able to learn about them in the past. I notice her eyes flicking to me every few seconds, and I wonder if she's feeling the same pull I am. Taking a sip of my coffee, I tell myself I'm imagining things and get back to work. I'm furiously taking notes when something catches my attention. Wow, I mutter, scrolling through her feed. Your posts are really taking off. The engagement is through the roof. She glances up at me, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I posted an update this morning, and it already has thousands of likes. You know, I say, leaning in slightly. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Your coverage has taken the idea of the wishing wall to a whole different level. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Sophia glances down at her phone and mutters something under her breath. Looks like the deputy city manager won't be able to join us after all. Why would he? Or she? I ask. I have no idea who this person is. Sophia smiles and wrinkles her nose in the most adorable way. Well, I've enjoyed being a part of this. It's not often you get to work on something that makes such a difference. Yes? I have no idea what any of this has to do with the city or the community center. As she reaches for her coffee, her elbow catches the edge of her notebook, sending the cup flying. Coffee splashes across the table, soaking her notes and the front of her shirt. Oh, no, she gasps, jumping back. I leap up, instinctively moving to help, but then I hesitate. My hand clutches a single napkin that has the Coffee Loft logo printed on it. My eyes are fixed on the dark stain on her chest. Sophia doesn't seem to notice. She's already grabbing napkins, trying to salvage her drenched notes. I've got it. I hand her the napkin and take over dabbing the paper. Well, that's one way to make an impression, she says with a self-deprecating laugh, pressing the napkin to her shirt. As we clean up the mess, she starts talking, her words tumbling out in excitement. So, I've been thinking. What if we expanded the wishing wall concept? Turn it into a community event to celebrate the start of fall. This is why we're here? I raise an eyebrow, intrigued. Go on. We could get local businesses involved, maybe some artists too. Make it a real celebration of our community and the power of wishes. She pauses, grinning. Did you know that children's book author is now book solid? All from that one post about the custom book for Lily. Seriously? I'm impressed but not surprised. Sophia has a knack for this. She nods enthusiastically, then looks down at her soggy notes with a rueful smile. I had it all written down, but, well, you can see how that turned out. I lean in to look at the coffee-stained paper. Despite the smudges, I can make out enough to get a glimpse of her ideas. Ideas that will keep us spending time together for quite a while longer. I think you're really onto something here. She beams at me, then reaches out and takes my hand. Her touch sends a jolt through me. I couldn't have done any of this without you, Jake. Your dedication to the wishing wall, your positivity. It has restored my faith in humanity. In the goodness of people. I'm speechless for a moment, lost in the warmth of her hand in mine and the sincerity in her eyes. Thank you, I say. That means a lot. We stay like that for a moment, hands clasped, eyes locked. I'm acutely aware of how easy it would be to lean in, to close the distance between us. Sophia clears her throat and pulls her hand away. I immediately miss its warmth. So, she says, her voice a little breathless, what do you think? Should we start planning this fall event? I nod, trying to gather my scattered thoughts. Her proposal would take the concept behind the wishing wall further, reaching parts of the community that would never set foot into Coffee Loft. This feels like we're on the cusp of something big. Something with the potential to spiral out of my control. Not just for the wishing wall or the community, but for us. Whatever this is between Sophia and me, it's growing stronger by the day. And it's scaring the heck out of me.
Chapter 7. Sophia. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and warm pastries fills the air as I settle into what's quickly becoming my favorite corner of Coffee Loft. Jake slides onto the seat across from me, 2 steaming cups in hand. My fingers brush his as I take my lofty spiced vanilla latte, and I try to ignore the little spark that jumps between us. Ready to dive in? Jake asks, his deep blue eyes twinkling with excitement. I nod, pulling out my laptop. Let's see what people are saying about Michael and Lily's day. We spend the next hour poring over comments, messages, and emails. The response is overwhelming, to say the least. People from all corners of Wilmington and beyond are loving the content, and quite a few of them are reaching out, asking how they can get involved with the wishing wall. Look at this one, I say, turning my screen toward Jake. It's from a local bakery. They want to know if they can donate treats for future wish fulfillments. Jake leans in, his shoulder brushing mine as he reads. That's nice. Something in his tone makes me look up. He doesn't look as excited as I feel. That's fantastic. We could set up a network of local businesses willing to contribute. I jot down the idea, my mind already racing with possibilities. And here's another from a retired teacher. She's offering free tutoring services if we ever come across a student in need. The community's really rallying around this, huh? Jake's voice is soft, filled with wonder along with the reluctance I noticed. I look up at him. It's all thanks to you, you know. You started this. He shakes his head, a slight blush coloring his cheeks. I don't know about all that. Before I can respond, Matthew approaches our table, a wide grin on his face. Well, if it isn't my favorite dynamic duo, he says, clapping Jake on the shoulder. I just wanted to congratulate you both on the amazing job you're doing. Sophia, your coverage has been phenomenal. The buzz around town is incredible. I feel a surge of pride at his words. Thank you, Matthew. It's been a pleasure working on this project. Matthew's grin widens as he looks between Jake and me. You two make quite the cute couple, you know. Your passion for this project really shows. I bite my lip, and Jake shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Oh, we're not. I mean, I stammer. Just good friends and colleagues, Jake finishes for me, though I notice he doesn't quite meet Matthew's eyes. Matthew raises an eyebrow, but doesn't push the issue. Well, keep up the great work, you two, he says before heading back to the counter. As soon as he's out of earshot, I turn to Jake, ready to laugh it off. The sound dies on my lips as I catch him looking at me with an intensity that makes my heart skip a beat. For a moment, we just stare at each other, unspoken words floating in the space between us. The pull I'd been feeling toward this man isn't going anywhere. Maybe it's time to take a chance, to see if there's something more here than just a professional partnership. I take a deep breath, ready to ask Jake if he'd like to grab dinner sometime when my phone rings. Frustrated, I glance at the screen. It's an unknown number. I'm about to ignore it when Jake nods encouragingly. Go ahead, it might be important. Sighing, I answer the call. Hello? Is this Sophia Martinez? A deep voice asks. Yes, this is she. Hi, Sophia. This is Marcus Chen. I'm a local artist. I've been following your stories about the wishing wall, and I have an idea I'd love to discuss with you. Are you free to meet? Intrigued, I ask him a few questions and agree to join him at a nearby gallery. As I hang up, I turn to Jake, excitement bubbling inside me. That was Marcus Chen, a local artist. He is creating a mural inspired by the wishes and wants me to document the process. He wants to meet at the Wilmington Art Gallery. That sounds amazing. Jake's eyes light up. When? Now. I glance at the time on my phone. He'll be there for another hour. Jake looks across the busy coffee shop. Julie isn't coming in until later. I can't. I get it. What if I meet him and get a better feel for what he has in mind? I ask. The wishing wall is your project, and I'm sure he wants to talk to you as well. You're right. Jake squares his shoulders. Besides, he called you. Go see what's up and we'll take it from there. Are you sure? I scan his face, trying to read his guarded expression. I could reschedule. He nods. No need. Go get him, reporter. Half an hour later, I'm standing in front of a large, blank canvas with Marcus, his eyes alight with creative energy as he explains his vision. I want to create a visual representation of the community's wishes, he says, gesturing expansively. Each wish could be a different color, blending together to form a larger image of hope and unity. As he talks, I can almost see the mural taking shape. The wishes flowing together, creating something beautiful and inspiring. It strikes me then, this is more than just a story about a wishing wall or a mural. It's about how art can inspire and bring people together. Marcus, I say, my mind racing with possibilities, I think this could be the start of something bigger. What if we involved other local artists? Created a series of works inspired by the wishes? A community art project? That could be powerful. The man looks like he means it. We spend the next hour brainstorming ideas, the energy in the room electric. By the time I leave, I have pages of notes and a head full of plans. As I walk back to my car, I can't help smiling. This story is evolving in ways I never expected, touching more lives and inspiring more people than I could have imagined. And at the center of it all is Jake and his wishing wall. I pull out my phone, ready to share the exciting news with Jake. But as I start to type, I pause. Maybe this is something better shared in person. Over dinner, perhaps? With a smile, I put my phone away and start the car. It's time to take a chance, both professionally and personally. After all, isn't that what the wishing wall is all about? I return to Coffee Loft, my mind still buzzing with ideas from my meeting with Marcus. As I push open the door, the cheerful chatter of afternoon patrons greets me, but my attention is immediately drawn to Jake. He's seated at a corner table, deep in conversation with a man I recognize as Tom Larson, the owner of Wilmington's most popular seafood restaurant. Their animated discussion floats across the room, punctuated by Jake's enthusiastic gestures. I hang back, not wanting to interrupt. It's fascinating to watch Jake in his element. His eyes shine with passion as he talks about the wishing wall. So, the city manager mentioned this community event you're planning, Tom says, leaning forward. What if we created a wishing wall for my restaurant, too? Jake shakes his head, his expression a mix of appreciation and protectiveness. I appreciate the offer, Tom, but the wishing wall is unique to Coffee Loft. It's about more than just wishes, it's about the community we've built around it. Fair enough. How about this? We could create a special menu item inspired by the wishing wall and donate a portion of the proceeds to help fulfill wishes. And of course, I'd be happy to help if my restaurant could host one of the wishes, Tom says, his booming voice carrying through the restaurant. causing quite a few heads to turn. Jake hesitates, clearly mulling over the proposal. My mind immediately jumps to the wish from the elderly husband who wants to do something special for his wife on their anniversary, but on a limited income. A romantic dinner at Tom's upscale restaurant could be perfect. After a moment, Jake's face softens. You know, that could work. The special menu item is a great idea, and having your support for wish fulfillment would be incredible. Tom grins, clapping his hands together. Excellent. It's a win-win for both of us. Your wishing wall gets more support, and we get to be part of this amazing community initiative. As they continue discussing details, Tom's eyes suddenly land on me. His face lights up with recognition. Hey, aren't you Sophia Martinez from WILM? Your coverage of the wishing wall has been fantastic. Jake turns, a smile spreading across his face as he sees me. But there's something else in his expression. Maybe it's concern that I'm about to steal the show. Sophia, come join us. Tom waves me over. We were discussing the community event and how my restaurant might get involved. I walk over, trying to keep my expression neutral, despite the conflicting emotions swirling inside me. Hi Tom, Jake. Sorry to interrupt. Nonsense. Tom exclaims. Your input would be invaluable. In fact, I hope you're in charge of promoting the event. Your reach will really boost participation. I feel a flush of pride at his words, but it's quickly followed by a twinge of discomfort. I'm acutely aware that I've been encroaching on Jake's project. This is his passion, his baby. As Tom continues to talk about his involvement, I sneak a glance at Jake. He's smiling, but there's tension there. Small lines around his eyes that weren't there when he watched Lily play at the park.
Chapter 8. Jake. I step into the Bookworm's Haven, a quaint little bookstore nestled in the heart of downtown Wilmington. The bell above the door chimes softly as I enter, and the comforting scent of books greets me. Sophia is already there, browsing through a shelf of local authors. Hey, I call out, and she turns, a warm smile lighting her face. Jake! I was starting to think you got lost, she teases, setting down the book she was flipping through. I chuckle, trying to ignore the flutter in my stomach at her smile. Never. I just had to close up the shop. So, where's Elena? Ms. Rossi is finishing up with a customer. Should be here any minute, Sophia replies, leading me to a cozy reading nook in the corner. Why don't you tell me why we're here? As we settle into the plush armchairs, I tell her about the latest wish that's caught my attention. Mr. Thompson, a local high school teacher, came by Coffee Loft yesterday. He has this incredible vision for his classroom, a reading oasis. Sophia leans forward, her reporter's instincts kicking in. Tell me more. He wants to create a dedicated space filled with books, comfortable seating, and reading aids, I say. The goal is to encourage students to explore literature and foster a love for reading. He believes that by creating a welcoming and engaging environment, he can better support students who struggle with literacy and inspire a lifelong passion for learning. Sophia's eyes light up. I like it, Jake. It could make such a difference in these students' lives. My thoughts exactly, and why I push this to the top of the line. Before I can respond, Elena walks over, a warm smile on her face. She's a middle-aged woman with kind eyes surrounded by tiny laugh lines. Jake, it's so good to see you. She pulls up a chair. And you must be Sophia. The women shake hands. I'm glad you reached out about Mr. Thompson's wish, Elena says, turning to face me. I have a couple of ideas to make this work. I'm all ears. I lean back, eager to hear what she has in mind. What if we organized a community book drive? Elena says, her eyes sparkling with excitement. We could collect book donations and funds for the reading oasis. The Bookworm's Haven could serve as a drop-off point for donations, and we could host a series of fundraising events, author readings, literacy workshops, that sort of thing, to garner support. I nod, already seeing the potential. I like it. And the book drive could be another way to bring the community together. Sophia is perched on the edge of her seat, taking notes on her phone. Elena nods. I'd like to donate a selection of books from the store to kickstart the project. I'm also willing to work with local authors and educators to curate a diverse and engaging collection for the reading oasis. Sophia's thumbs fly over the phone, her journalistic instincts in full swing. This is fantastic. We could make a big impact at the local schools. We spend the next hour discussing logistics, brainstorming ideas for the book drive, and considering fundraising events. Elena's passion is contagious, and I find myself getting more and more excited about the project. What if we incorporate some interactive social media campaigns? Sophia asks. We could do live Q&A sessions with authors, virtual book club discussions leading up to the main event. It would help us engage a wider audience. I can't help smiling at her enthusiasm. This is the Sophia I admire, creative, passionate, always thinking about how to make the biggest impact. That's brilliant, Elena agrees. It would help spread the word and get more people involved. As we wrap up our meeting, I feel a surge of optimism. This could open up new worlds for students who might otherwise struggle with reading. It's exactly what I hoped the wishing wall would inspire. Thank you both for your help with this, I say as we stand to leave. I can't wait to tell Mr. Thompson about our plans. Are you sure you don't mind a big social media campaign and getting the station involved in reporting this? Sophia asks. I don't want to steal your spotlight. I put my arm around her shoulders without realizing what I'm doing and pull her close. I don't mind one bit. Mr. Thompson gestures around the classroom, outlining his vision for the reading oasis. Sophia stands beside me, jotting down ideas in her phone. I'm thinking we could have themed reading corners, Mr. Thompson says. Maybe a fantasy nook with a miniature castle or a science corner with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. I nod, already picturing it. Something like that would spark the kids' imaginations. What about an interactive mural? We could depict famous literary journeys, like Dorothy's trip to Oz or Frodo's quest to Mount Doom, Sophia says. Mr. Thompson's face lights up. Yes. The students could add to it as they read new books. It would be a visual representation of their reading adventures. Maybe a bulletin board instead of an actual mural. I look around. As fast as the ideas are flying, we're quickly running out of blank wall space. As we continue brainstorming, I'm in awe. This is exactly what I had in mind when I put up the wishing wall. People coming together to create something meaningful, something that could change lives. Like it had for me. You know, I say, as Sophia and I walk out of the school building, this is what I've always envisioned, not just for the wishing wall but for our community. A hub that fosters meaningful connections and change. Sophia looks at me, her eyes soft with understanding. It's what you're creating at Coffee Loft. Trying to, I say. What inspired you to start the wishing wall in the first place? She asks as we make our way across the parking lot. I take a deep breath. When I was a young teen, someone gave me a helping hand when I needed it most. It changed my life. I've always wanted to pay that forward, to create a space where people could help each other, even if they didn't know each other personally. Sophia's hand brushes against mine in a brief gesture of support. You don't have to tell me unless you want to, but I'm curious who this helping hand was. I don't know. I stop walking and turn to face her. Off the record? Sophia's eyes widen in surprise. Of course. You don't think I'm here just as a journalist, do you? I shrug, shoving back the conflicting feelings that raise their heads like we're playing a game of whack-a-mole. She puts a hand over her heart. I won't tell a soul. I swallow hard. When I was a young teen, my family was struggling financially. I had school and a part-time job, but getting there and back. Sophia nods. That couldn't have been easy. It hadn't been. Some days I'd find a ride. Others, I walked the 5 miles home after a long shift. One day, a brand new bicycle showed up in front of my house with an envelope with my name on it taped to the handlebars. Sophia doesn't say a word, but there is no doubt I have her undivided attention. All the note inside said was, "Keep moving forward. Someone cares." And it had meant the world to me at that moment. "No wonder you're so passionate about this," Sophia murmurs. I barely make out the words. I take a deep breath, gathering my courage. "I was wondering, would you like to have dinner with me? A proper date?" Her eyes widen in surprise, then soften with a smile. "I'd love to. When were you thinking? How about now?" I suggest, my heart racing. Sophia's smile widens. "Works for me. I'm starving." We end up at Tom's seafood restaurant, where he insists we try the new signature dish his chef created to benefit the wishing wall. As we share a glass of wine with our meal, the conversation flows easily. "I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for the Wishing Wall project," I say, my voice soft with sincerity. "Your involvement has meant so much to me." Sophia looks down, a hint of worry crossing her face. "I've actually been concerned about that. I was worried I might be stealing your spotlight, taking over your project." I reach across the table, gently taking her hand. "Sophia, you can steal my spotlight any day. This project is better because of you. Your passion, your creativity, they've elevated everything we've done." Her eyes meet mine, a mix of relief and something deeper shining in them. "Really?" "Really," I affirm. "We make a great team, on and off camera."
Chapter 9. Sophia. I stroll through the streets of downtown Wilmington, getting a few shots for social media to drum up excitement for the book drive. It's not going to be a problem. Colorful posters advertising the Reading Oasis event catch my eye at every turn. I pause to snap a photo of a particularly eye-catching one in a cafe window. "Are you going to the book drive?" I overhear a woman ask her friend as they walk past me. "Wouldn't miss it," her friend replies. "I've got a box of old classics I'm donating. It's such a great cause." I smile to myself, feeling a surge of pride. This is exactly what we'd hoped for: community engagement and enthusiasm. I start a new Instagram story, sharing the poster photo and a quick video of the bustling street. Within minutes, likes and comments start pouring in. "Can't wait for the event," one follower writes. "Where can I donate?" asks another. I quickly respond, directing them to the Bookworm's Haven. Walking up to the bookstore, I'm struck by the flurry of activity. Volunteers stream in and out, carrying boxes of books. Through the window, I see Elena Rossi, directing traffic, a clipboard in her hand and a wide smile on her face. I push open the door, the familiar chime of the bell lost in the excited chatter filling the space. Stacks of books tower precariously on every available surface, and a small stage has been set up in the corner for the author readings happening later this afternoon and into the evening. "Sophia." Elena waves me over. "Perfect timing. We could use your social media expertise." I laugh, already pulling out my phone. "On it." "This place looks amazing, Elena." Out of the corner of my eye, I see Jake arranging books on a makeshift shelf. I watch him work, muscles rippling through his taut shirt. I imagine those arms wrapping around me. "How about a picture of the children's book section?" Elena asks, pulling me out of my daydream. "Absolutely. Great idea." I give her my best smile and focus my attention on the job at hand. "Let's get you in the shot, too." For the next hour, I weave through the crowd, snapping more pictures and interviewing volunteers. I post a series of stories, showcasing the event setup and the enthusiasm of the participants. The response is immediate and overwhelming, with more and more people promising to stop by. Throughout it all, I'm acutely aware of Jake's presence. He's everywhere at once, helping to arrange books, chatting with volunteers, and coordinating with Elena. Every so often, our eyes meet across the room, and my heart does a little flip. As the event kicks into full swing, it's clear we have a resounding success on our hands. The bookstore is packed to the brim, with a line stretching out the door. Books and donations pour in faster than the volunteers can process them. And Jake is at the heart of it all. He moves through the crowd with ease and a smile on his face as he engages with attendees, answers questions, and directs the flow of traffic. I find myself watching him talk to anyone from elderly ladies looking to stock up on cozy mysteries to young mothers donating well-loved picture books. When he kneels down to accept a book from a shy little girl, it hits me. I'm falling fast and hard for Jake Harrison. He's the kind of guy I've been waiting for. Kind, full of passion, and dedicated to making a difference. Jake is my very own, custom-made Prince Charming. I lift my camera, capturing the moment. Jake looks up, catching my eye, and flashes me a warm smile that makes my heart skip a beat. I smile back, feeling a warmth spread through me that has nothing to do with the crowded room or the success of our project. I can't believe we've gotten this kind of turnout, Mr. Thompson says, his head swiveling back and forth. Between the books, funds, and donations, we're actually going to make this happen. My students will get their reading oasis in record time. They certainly will. Elena walks over, a big smile on her face. I can't wait to see it. The two of them walk off, Mr. Thompson describing his ideas for the classroom with as much enthusiasm as he did the other day when Jake and I met with him. Turning around, I see Jake standing in the corner, his eyes on me. I stroll over to join him, thinking about how he is quickly becoming my oasis. He's where I want to return to after a long day of chasing stories. And he is the one I want to speak with more than anyone else at this moment. About the wishing wall, our community, and the possibility of a future together. Coffee Loft is quiet, a stark contrast to the bustling energy of the bookstore event earlier. The chairs are up on the tables, and the only light comes from the soft glow of the pendant lamps above the counter where Jake is working his magic. One spiced hot chocolate, coming right up, he says, his voice low and warm in the stillness of the empty shop. I lean against the counter, watching him work. There's something intimate about being here after hours, just the two of us. Two would be better, I say. I don't mind sharing, but I think we each deserve our own after everything we accomplished today. You've got it. Jake grins, handing me a steaming mug. It turned out even better than I expected. Not that I doubted your marketing and PR skills. Mr. Thompson is going to have one impressive reading oasis. We settle into a comfortable silence, sipping our hot chocolates. The cinnamon and clove mingle with the sweet chocolate and steamed milk, warming me from the inside out. So, what's next? I ask, breaking the quiet. For the reading oasis, I mean. Jake sets down his mug, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Or maybe it's a play of the light in the store that's closed to anyone but us. We start by sorting through all the donations and figure out what additional supplies we might need. Then there's the actual setup in the classroom. As he talks, detailing plans and ideas, I find myself drawn in not just by his words, but by his enthusiasm. Without thinking, I reach out and take his hand. He pauses mid-sentence, looking down at our intertwined fingers. For a moment, I worry I've overstepped, but then he squeezes my hand gently, a soft smile spreading across his face. We make a pretty good team, don't we? He asks, his voice barely above a whisper. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. The air between us feels charged, full of unspoken possibilities. I listen as he talks about paint and bookshelves, seeing the place come alive for Mr. Thompson's students in my mind's eye. I should get this cleaned up, Jake says. He picks up our empty mugs and walks behind the counter. I miss his touch, the connection we had. Getting up, I walk around the coffee shop while he washes the mugs. The milk steamer hisses when I stop in front of the wishing wall. My eyes skim over the colorful array of cards pinned to the board, each one a hope, a dream waiting to be fulfilled. I feel Jake's presence before I see him, a warmth at my back. His hand rests on my shoulder, and I turn to face him. We're so close now, I can see the tiny flecks of gold in his blue eyes. I lose myself in them and time freezes. For a heart-stopping moment, I think he's going to kiss me. My heart is racing and I have to remind myself to breathe. Jake blinks and takes a small step back, his hand falling from my shoulder. It's getting late, he says softly, I should walk you to your car. I nod, trying to hide my disappointment. Right, of course. As we walk out into the cool night air, Jake's hand finds mine again. It's a small gesture, but it sends a flutter through my stomach. At my car, we linger for a moment, neither of us quite ready to say goodnight. Sophia, Jake starts, then pauses, seeming to search for words. Thank you. For everything. I couldn't have done this without you. I think you would have managed fine. I squeeze his hand. Thank you for letting me be part of it. It means more to me than you know. We stand there for a beat longer and wait for him to make the next move. Finally, Jake leans in and presses a soft kiss to my cheek. Good night, Sophia, he murmurs, his breath warm against my skin.
Chapter 10. Jake. I push open the door to Mr. Thompson's classroom, and my jaw drops. The place is buzzing with activity, volunteers bustling around with paintbrushes and tools in hand. Jake! Mr. Thompson calls out, waving me over. Can you believe this turnout? I shake my head, grinning. It's amazing. I didn't expect so many people on a Saturday morning. A volunteer brushes past us, carrying a stack of boards. Where do you want these, Mr. T? Over by the window, please, Mr. Thompson directs. He turns back to me. Everyone's been so enthusiastic. It's heartwarming. I roll up my sleeves. Well, put me to work. What needs doing? Mr. Thompson hands me a paintbrush. How about you start on that wall? We're thinking a soft blue. It'll make a nice backdrop for the pirate-themed mural. As I dip the brush into the paint, a young woman joins me, masking tape in hand. Hey, isn't that reporter usually with you? The one who's been covering the wishing wall? I feel a pang in my chest. Sophia? She's on assignment today. Covering the fall festival at Wilson's farm. Oh, the pumpkin patch and corn maze? Another volunteer asks. My kids love that place. I nod, trying to focus on the wall in front of me. Yeah, it should make for a great story. The conversation flows around me as we work, but I find my thoughts drifting to Sophia. I wonder if she's enjoying the festival and if she's thinking about me too. Earth to Jake, Mr. Thompson's voice breaks through my reverie. You missed a spot. I blink, realizing I've been painting the same section for the past 5 minutes. Sorry, I was just thinking about a certain reporter? Mr. Thompson teases gently. Before I can respond, the door swings open and Elena walks in, her arms full of books. Special delivery, she announces. I found a great adventure series I think the boys will love. Elena, you're a lifesaver, Mr. Thompson says, helping her with the books. She looks around the room, nodding approvingly. This is really coming together. Oh, Jake! I didn't see you there. Where's Sophia today? My cheeks heat up. She's working. Covering the fall festival for the station. Elena's eyes twinkle knowingly. Ah, I see. Well, she's missing out on all the fun here. As we sort through the new books, Elena leans in close. You know, Jake, I noticed the way the two of you kept glancing at each other. Some real chemistry there. I nearly dropped the book I'm holding. Oh, honey. It's obvious to anyone with eyes. Did you go on a date? Elena asks. Not really. We're working together. It would be unprofessional, wouldn't it? We've had coffee together a couple of times. Elena laughs. You should go for it, ask her out properly. You think? I ask. Absolutely, Elena nods firmly. Life's too short to waste time wondering what if. Take it from someone who knows. I mull over her words as we continue working. Maybe she's right. Maybe it's time to take that leap. The setting sun paints the Cape Fear River in hues of orange and gold as I lean against the railing at Riverfront Park. It's my favorite spot to come and think, the gentle lapping of water against the shore a soothing backdrop to my thoughts. Beautiful evening, isn't it? A voice beside me says. I turn to see an older man, probably in his 70s, gazing out across the water. It sure is. I nod in agreement. I don't think I've seen you around here before, the man comments. New to Wilmington? I chuckle. Not exactly. I've been here about 6 months now. I don't tell him that I stop by here at least once a week. Ah, still getting your sea legs then, he jokes. How are you finding it? I take a moment to reflect, thinking back on everything that's happened since I moved here. It's been surprising, actually. I feel like I've found my place here. The man nods sagely. That's a rare and wonderful thing, young man. Hold on to it. As he ambles away, I turn back to the river, my thoughts drifting to Sophia. I wonder how her day at the fall festival went, if she's thinking about the reading oasis too. As if summoned by my thoughts, my phone rings. Sophia's name flashes on the screen. Hey, I answer, unable to keep the smile out of my voice. Jake! How did it go today? Sophia asks. It went really well, I say, filling her in on all the details, the volunteers, the progress we made, Elena's book delivery. I can't wait for you to see it. It's really coming together. I wish I could have been there, she says, a tinge of regret in her voice. Hey, don't worry about it. You've been such a huge part of this project. We couldn't have done any of this without you. Really? Really. Without you, we wouldn't have gotten supplies and funds together so quickly. You've inspired so many people to get involved. I can almost hear her smile through the phone. Thanks, Jake. That means a lot. So, how was the fall festival? As Sophia launches into a vivid description of pumpkin carving contests and corn maze adventures, I find myself wishing I could have been there with her. I'll send you some pictures, she says. Unless you've already seen everything on social media. I have not. But I will, as soon as we wrap up our conversation. Oh, she exclaimed suddenly. I almost forgot. Did you take pictures of the reading oasis progress? I'd love to post an update. I didn't take a single picture all day, I say. It honestly didn't even occur to me. Sophia laughs. Seriously? Have I taught you nothing? I guess I was so caught up in the work, it didn't even cross my mind, I say. See? That's why I need you there. You never forget the important stuff. Well, I guess you'll just have to give me a personal tour soon, she teases. And I'm sure you did plenty of important stuff today. Not unless you count assembling shelving units and painting walls. I turn and lean back against the rail. The sun has set and it's getting dark. I do, Sophia says with a yawn. I should let you go. I'm surprised how reluctant I am to end our conversation. I'm sure you've had a long day. I did. And I should probably fix something to eat. She seems as reluctant to end the call as I am. Sounds like you had a pretty busy day too. Let's catch up soon. What are you doing tomorrow night? I ask, my heart racing. Would you like to have dinner with me? There's a pause on the other end of the line, and for a moment, I worry I've overstepped. I'd love to, she says.
Chapter 11. Sophia. I walk down Front Street, my heels clicking against the sidewalk as the evening falls over downtown Wilmington. The nerves I've been battling all day flutter in my stomach again as I near circa 1922. Catching sight of my reflection in a shop window, I pause. My hand instinctively goes to my hair, smoothing a few errant strands. The charcoal gray pantsuit I'm wearing suddenly feels too formal. Maybe I should have gone with the green wrap dress after all. I take a deep breath, reminding myself that it's Jake I'm meeting. Dinner with the man I've spent countless hours with over coffee and wishes. The man who makes my heart race every time he smiles at me. It's the thought of that smile that gets me moving again. I round the corner and spot him standing in front of the restaurant. He looks incredibly handsome in a blue button-down, gray sports jacket, and dark jeans. When he sees me, his face lights up with a smile that makes my knees weak. "Hi," I say, hoping my voice doesn't betray how nervous I am. "I hope I didn't keep you waiting." "Not at all," Jake replies, his eyes warm as they meet mine. "You look amazing." I feel warmth creep up my cheeks at his compliment. "Thanks. You clean up pretty well yourself." "I do my best." His grin helps ease some of the tension. He opens the door and I step inside, taking in the familiar atmosphere of one of my favorite Wilmington eateries. "Your table should be ready in 15 minutes, the young hostess says. "Would you like to wait at the bar?" "Good with you?" Jake asks, turning to face me. I nod and order my favorite, a lemon drop martini when we get settled. "I'll take whatever local beer you have on tap," Jake says. "Cheers," I say, raising my glass once our drinks arrive. "To new adventures?" Jake clinks his glass against mine, his smile doing nothing to help me keep my heart rate under control. "To new adventures." As we sip our drinks, I take in the restaurant's beautiful interior. "I've always liked this place," I say. "Do you come here often?" "Not at all. It's my first time." "Elena recommended it," Jake says. "She said it was perfect for a special occasion." I raise an eyebrow. "And is this a special occasion?" I watch as a faint blush creeps up Jake's neck. "Well, I'd say having dinner with you qualifies as pretty special." His words send a warmth spreading through me. I don't know what to say, but I like what I'm hearing. "Your table is ready," the hostess says, appearing out of nowhere. "If you'll follow me." Once seated, we peruse the menu. I decide on the sweet potato ravioli, while Jake goes for the steak with chimichurri and fries. "How was your day?" I ask, deciding emotional declarations can wait until after the food arrives. "Any interesting customers at Coffee Loft or new wishes posted to the wishing wall?" Jake shakes his head. "Afraid not. Up until now, it was a fairly ordinary day. You could even call it boring." "How about you?" I laugh. "Anything but boring, I had an interesting interview today." "Oh yeah? Do tell," Jake says, his genuine interest in my work one of the many things I adore about him. "It was with this local podcaster, Mitch Hansen. He does a show about Wilmington happenings," I explain. "We were talking about upcoming fall events. I even managed to work in a mention of the wishing wall." Jake grins, his eyes twinkling. "Sneaky." I like it. "How did he react?" I laugh. "He was fascinated. Wanted to know all about it." I may have talked it up a bit. "May have?" Jake teases. "Knowing you, I bet you had him ready to come down to Coffee Loft and pen up a wish himself." "I don't know about that, but don't be surprised if you get a call. I may have suggested you would make a great guest for his show." Jake takes it all in stride. "Why am I not surprised?" "Knowing you, it was more than a suggestion." I playfully swat his arm across the table. "Hey now, are you implying I'm pushy?" He holds up his hands in mock surrender. "Not pushy. Passionate. It's one of the things I admire most about you." Our eyes meet, and for a few seconds, the busy restaurant around us seems to fade away. The moment is broken by the arrival of our food, but the warmth in Jake's gaze lingers. As we dig into our food, the conversation flows easily. We talk about everything from our favorite books to our most embarrassing childhood memories. I find myself laughing more than I have in ages, completely captivated by Jake's wit and charm. This ravioli is incredible," I moan, closing my eyes as I savor a bite. "How's your steak?" "Perfectly cooked," Jake replies. "Want to try a bite?" I nod eagerly, and he cuts off a piece, holding it out to me. Without hesitation, I lean forward and take the bite directly from his fork. The intimacy of the gesture sends a shiver down my spine. I hum appreciatively. "That is good. But I think I still prefer my ravioli." Jake chuckles, shaking his head. "Your loss. More for me." As we near the end of our meal, I can't help eyeing the few remaining fries on Jake's plate. See something you like, he teases, catching my gaze. I grin, not even trying to hide my interest. Maybe. Those fries look awfully tempting. He pushes his plate slightly towards me. Help yourself. I reach over and snag one of the fries. Don't mind if I do, I say with a wink, popping it into my mouth. Jake laughs, and I marvel at how comfortable this feels. Being here with him, sharing food and conversation, it all feels so natural. Like we've been doing this for years instead of having our first real date. As the server clears our plates, I lean back in my chair, a contented smile on my face. This was perfect, Jake. Thank you for a beautiful evening. The pleasure was all mine, he replies, his sincerity evident in his warm gaze. Though the night doesn't have to end unless you're ready to go home. I take a sip of ice water to cool the nerves that are coming back alive. What do you have in mind? His gaze doesn't leave mine. We could take a walk along the Riverwalk. The view of the city lights on the water is beautiful this time of night. My heart skips a beat at the suggestion. That sounds perfect. As we stand to leave, Jake offers me his hand. I take it without hesitation, intertwining my fingers with his, and the simple touch sends a jolt through me, straight to my heart. You're shivering. Jake lets go of my hand and shrugs out of his jacket as we stroll along the Riverwalk. The evening breeze off the Cape Fear River has a distinct fall chill to it. The city lights dance on the water's surface, creating a magical atmosphere. He drapes it over my shoulders. The warmth of the fabric, infused with his scent, envelopes me. Thank you. I'm touched by his thoughtfulness. He smiles softly, reclaiming my hand. Can't have you freezing on me. We continue our leisurely walk, content to simply enjoy each other's presence. The quiet between us feels comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. We pass under a street lamp, its warm glow illuminating Jake's features. I gently tug on his hand, bringing us to a stop. Jake, I say, my heart racing as I turn to face him fully. His eyes, curious and warm, meet mine, and I find myself momentarily lost in their depths. I wanted to tell you how much I admire you. How grateful I am for our partnership. His expression softens, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. I press on, the words tumbling out. Working on the wishing wall projects has made such a difference in my life. It's not just about the stories or the community impact, though those are incredible. It's also boosting my profile at work. I'm getting more serious assignments, more recognition. There's a subtle shift in Jake's expression as he listens. The warmth in his eyes dims, and a shadow seems to pass over his face. He's trying to hide it, but I can see a flicker of disappointment. That's great, Sophia. I'm happy for you, he says, his voice not quite matching the sentiment. My heart races when I recognize the misunderstanding. It's time to lay all my cards on the table. Jake, no, I say quickly, reaching up to cup his cheek with my free hand. His eyes widen slightly at the contact. That's not. I mean, yes, all of that is true, but it's about so much more than that. It is? He doesn't move, doesn't blink. There's something between us, Jake. Something special. Something worth exploring. At least, if that's something you're interested in. I can't read his expression, and for a heartbeat I worry he isn't. Sophia, he says, his voice low and intense. I'm very interested. Before I can respond, Jake leans down, closing the distance between us. His lips meet mine, and suddenly the world around us disappears. The kiss is soft at first, tentative, as if he's giving me a chance to pull away. But as I respond, sliding my hand from his cheek to the nape of his neck, it deepens. Jake's arm wraps around my waist, pulling me closer as his other hand tangles in my hair. The passion in his kiss is overwhelming, filled with weeks of unspoken longing and desire. My knees go weak, and I'm grateful for his strong embrace holding me up. I lose track of time as we stand there, lost in each other. When we finally part, both breathless, I keep my eyes closed for a moment, savoring the lingering sensation of his lips on mine. When I open them, I find Jake watching me with an expression of awe and affection that makes my heart soar.
Chapter 12. Jake. I run a duster over the bookshelf one last time, eyeing the clock. My apartment is spotless, probably cleaner than it's been since I moved in. I've rearranged the throw pillows on the couch at least 3 times. Ridiculous, but I can't help it. I want everything to be perfect. A quick glance in the hallway mirror confirms that I look presentable, casual, but not too casual. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the butterflies in my stomach. It's just breakfast with Sophia, I tell myself. We've shared countless meals at Coffee Loft. This shouldn't be any different. Except it is. Because of last night and the kiss we shared under the soft glow of a riverside street lamp. I grab my keys and head out, locking the door behind me. The bakery is not far down the street, and the morning air is crisp and invigorating. It's doing wonders for my nerves. The bell over the bakery door chimes as I enter, and the scent of fresh pastries greets me. I choose an assortment: chocolate croissants, fruit Danish, and cinnamon rolls. I rush back to my building, worried Sophia will beat me there. The elevator doors open on my floor, and I nearly collide with my neighbor, Fiona. "Whoa there, Jake," she laughs, steadying me. She spots the bakery box. "Big plans this morning?" "I have a friend coming over for breakfast." I glance down the hall, making sure there is no sign of her. Fiona raises an eyebrow, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "A friend, huh? Would this happen to be the reporter you've been talking about nonstop? Is it that obvious?" I ask. She pats my arm sympathetically. "Only to anyone with eyes, honey." "What's the occasion?" I clear my throat. Let's just say I'm about to pour out my heart. Hopefully the pastries will sweeten the deal. "I seriously doubt you need them," she says. "Jake Harrison, if I've ever seen a great catch, it's you." Let's hope she feels the same way. Last night's kiss makes me think she does. Fiona's expression softens. "I'm sure she does. And if you want my 2 cents, I'd say, be open and honest about your feelings. Let the chips fall where they may." I can't help chuckling. "You know, you're not the first person to give me that advice recently." "Well, that's because it's good advice," she says, heading to the elevator, leaving me standing in the hallway, pastry box in hand, heart pounding. Back at my place, I arrange the pastries on a plate, brew a pot of coffee, and check the time. Any minute now. The doorbell rings, and I nearly jump out of my skin. I walk to the door and open it. Sophia looks beautiful in a casual sundress, her dark hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. She's clutching her purse tightly, and I notice her shifting her weight from one foot to the other. "Hi," she says, her voice a little breathless. "Hi," I echo, suddenly feeling tongue-tied. "Come in, please." "Your place is lovely," Sophia says, her eyes roaming around the living room. "Thanks." I close the door behind her. "Feel free to look around while I finish setting up breakfast." I retreat to the kitchen, grateful for a moment to collect myself. As I pour the coffee into mugs, I hear Sophia moving around the living room. I peek out to see her examining the photos on my bookshelf. "Is this your family?" she calls out, pointing to a picture. I walk over, coffee mugs in hand. "Yeah, that's from last Christmas." Sophia smiles, accepting the coffee. "You look happy. You're close with them?" I nod. "I am now. This isn't the time or the place to talk about my childhood." Her eyes move to the bookshelf, scanning the titles. "Hemingway, Steinbeck, Vonnegut." "I'm impressed, Mr. Harrison." I feel a warmth spread through my chest at her use of my last name. It's playful, familiar. What can I say? I'm a man of hidden depths. She laughs, the sound making my heart skip a beat. "Clearly." She pulls a book from the shelf and flips through it, when a piece of paper falls out. Sophia bends to pick it up, and I recognize it immediately, the card from the wishing wall that inspired the Reading Oasis project. "You kept it," she says softly, her eyes meeting mine. I nod, suddenly feeling vulnerable. "I keep all the wishes we fulfill. To remind me of the impact we're making." Sophia's expression softens, and for a moment, we just stand there, looking at each other. "We should eat before the coffee gets cold," I say finally, breaking the spell. We settle at the small dining table, the plate of pastries between us. Sophia takes a bite of a chocolate croissant and closes her eyes in bliss. "These are amazing. Where did you get them?" "Little bakery down the street," I reply, watching her enjoy the pastry. "I thought you might like them. You have a bit of a sweet tooth." She pauses mid-bite, looking at me with surprise. "You notice that?" My cheeks heat up. "I notice a lot of things about you, Sophia." Her eyes widen slightly, and a faint blush colors her cheeks. "Sophia." My heart pounds so hard I'm sure she can hear it. "I need to tell you something." She sets down her coffee mug, giving me her full attention. "Okay," she says softly. I take a deep breath, my mind flashing to our walk by the river. "Sophia, about last night." "Yes?" Her eyes met mine with a mix of curiosity and warmth. "I'm interested," I say. Interested in seeing where this could go. I enjoy every moment we spend together, and I find myself thinking about you even when we're apart. A small smile plays at the corners of Sophia's lips. "I know we started as partners in this project, and that's important. But I hope we can be more than that," I say. "A lot more." I fall silent, watching Sophia's face for her reaction. Her eyes are bright, but I can't quite read the emotion behind them. After a moment that feels like an eternity, she speaks, her voice soft. "Jake, I've been feeling the same way. But..." I hold my breath. What we've been doing is important. I don't want to jeopardize the work we're doing with the wishing wall. "What if things don't work out with us?" she asks. It's a valid question. As is mine. What if it does? The sun-dappled streets of historic downtown Wilmington stretch before us as Sophia and I stroll hand in hand. The old buildings and cobblestone paths seem to whisper stories, much like the wishes on our wall. "You know," Sophia says, "starting something more between us is a bit of a risk. We've been great as collaborators and friends." I give her hand a gentle squeeze. "True, but let's be honest. We already crossed that line. Last night's kiss made that pretty clear." Sophia chuckles. "You've got a point there." I slow our pace. "Maybe we should take it slow, though. Get to know each other better outside of the wishing wall projects and the upcoming community event." Not the worst idea. "After all," Sophia says with a mischievous glint in her eye, "I still haven't seen this famous reading oasis you've been working on." "You'll be there for the official unveiling later this week," I remind her, bumping her shoulder playfully with mine. I know. I'm just teasing." She grins up at me, and I'm struck again by how beautiful she is when she smiles. "So, taking it slow," I say, a teasing lilt to my voice to match her mood. "Does that involve more dates like our dinner last night?" Sophia pretends to consider this for a moment. I suppose so. But only if they end in more kisses. I think that can be arranged." I don't try to keep the smug expression off my face. We walk a bit further, discussing potential date ideas and laughing at some of the more outlandish suggestions. Suddenly, Sophia's eyes widen as she glances at her phone. "Oh no, I'm late for an appointment." Sophia turns to me, rising on her tiptoes to plant a quick kiss on my cheek. "I've got to run. Call you later?" Before I can respond, she's darting off down the street, leaving me with the lingering warmth of her kiss and a goofy smile on my face. I make my way to Coffee Loft, my steps light and my mind full of possibilities. As I push open the door, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries greets me, along with Catherine's knowing look. Well, she drawls, eyeing my expression. Someone looks like they're walking on air. Good date last night? I try to school my features into a more neutral expression, but the grin refuses to budge. It was nice, I admit, aiming for nonchalance and probably missing by a mile. Catherine snorts, clearly not buying it. Nice doesn't usually come with a smile that big. But don't worry, I won't pry, for now. She jerks her thumb towards the wishing wall. By the way, we've got a few new wishes up there. Chapter 13. Jake. The excited chatter of kids fills the air when I look around Mr. Thompson's classroom, my heart racing with a mix of nervousness and pride. The reading oasis is finally ready for its grand unveiling, and the room is packed with students, teachers, and local media. I catch Sophia's eye from where she stands with her camera crew. She smiles and gives me a nod. Taking a deep breath, I step forward to address the crowd. Good morning, everyone, I say. Thank you for being here today. What started as a simple wish on our Coffee Loft wall has blossomed into something truly extraordinary, thanks to the incredible support of this community. As I speak, I take in the full extent of the transformation of the classroom. Colorful bookshelves line the walls, filled with an eclectic mix of titles. Comfortable bean bags and reading nooks are scattered around the room, and the interactive literary mural we brainstormed covers one entire wall. This reading oasis is more than just a room full of books, I continue. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we come together, when we listen to each other's wishes and dreams, and when we work to make those dreams a reality. I gesture to Mr. Thompson, who steps forward with a wide grin. None of this would have been possible without Mr. Thompson's vision and dedication to his students. I'd like to invite him to say a few words. As Mr. Thompson takes over, eloquently expressing his gratitude and excitement, I find my gaze drawn back to Sophia. She's watching the proceedings with rapt attention, her eyes shining with emotion. My heart swells with affection for her, remembering how instrumental she's been in bringing this project to life. After Mr. Thompson finishes speaking, it's time for the official ribbon cutting. We invite one of the students, a shy girl named Emery, to do the honors. As the red ribbon falls away, the room erupts in applause and cheers. The students pour into the reading oasis, pulling out books and settling into the cozy reading spots. I stand back, watching with a sense of wonder as the room comes alive with excitement and curiosity. Sophia sidles up to me, slipping her hand into mine. You did it, Jake, she murmurs, her voice filled with pride. I squeeze her hand gently. We did it, I say. I couldn't have done this without you. She leans her head against my shoulder for a moment, and I relish the warmth of her closeness. We stay like that for a while, watching as Mr. Thompson guides students through the new space, showing them how to use the interactive elements and helping them choose books. As the initial excitement starts to settle, I notice Elena from the bookstore entering the classroom, her arms laden with a stack of new books. She catches my eye and beckons me over. Jake, Sophia, she greets us warmly. This is incredible. You've really outdone yourselves. Thanks, Elena, I reply. And thank you for all your help with the book donations. It made a huge difference. Elena waves off my thanks. It was my pleasure. Actually, I wanted to talk to you both about something. She lowers her voice conspiratorially. I've had an idea for a new wish, something bigger than anything you've done before. Sophia leans in, her reporter's instincts clearly piqued. What kind of wish? Elena's eyes sparkle with excitement. What if we could create a mobile library? A bus converted into a mobile library and reading space. We could bring books and literacy programs to underserved areas of the city. I feel a jolt of excitement at the idea. I like it. But it would be a massive undertaking. I know, she nods. That's why I wanted to run it by you first. I thought maybe we could make it a community-wide project, tie it into that fall event you've been planning. Sophia and I exchange a look, and I can see the same enthusiasm I'm feeling reflected in her eyes. It's ambitious, she says slowly, but I think it could work. We could get local businesses involved, maybe even partner with the school district. As we start brainstorming ideas, the energy between us is palpable. This is what I love about working with Sophia, the way we can bounce ideas off each other, building on each other's thoughts until something magical takes shape. In the midst of our excited planning, Mr. Thompson approaches us, his face beaming. "I can't thank you enough for all of this," he says, gesturing around the room. "You've made such a difference for these kids." I feel a lump form in my throat, overwhelmed by the genuine gratitude in his voice. "We're just glad we could help bring your vision to life," I manage to say. As Mr. Thompson moves away to help another student, I turn back to Sophia and Elena. "So, what do you think? Should we put this mobile library wish up on the wall?" Sophia grins, her eyes alight with that spark that never fails to captivate me. "Absolutely. Let's make some more wishes come true." Coffee Loft hums with its usual afternoon bustle as I wipe down the counter, my mind still buzzing from the reading Oasis Unveiling earlier. The bell above the door chimes, and I look up to see Sophia walking in. "Hey there, handsome," she says, sliding onto a stool at the counter. "One lofty spiced vanilla latte, please." I chuckle, already reaching for her favorite mug. "Coming right up. How was the rest of your day?" As I prepare her drink, Sophia fills me in on the follow-up interviews she conducted after the unveiling. Her enthusiasm is contagious, and I find myself grinning as I listen to her recount the students' excited reactions. "Here you go," I say, sliding the steaming mug across the counter to her. "So, ready to tackle our next big project?" Sophia's eyes sparkle with excitement. "The mobile library?" "Absolutely. I've been thinking about it all day." I glance around the shop, making sure Catherine has everything under control before joining Sophia on the other side of the counter. "Me too. I've got some ideas I want to run by you." We move to our usual corner table, and I pull out a notebook filled with rough sketches and notes. "I was thinking we could convert an old school bus," I explain, flipping to a page with a basic design. "We could install bookshelves along the sides, maybe have a small reading nook in the back." Sophia leans in, her shoulder brushing against mine as she studies the sketch. "This is great, Jake. What if we added a fold-out awning on the side? We could set up chairs outside when the weather's nice." I quickly jot down her suggestion, our ideas flowing back and forth as we build on each other's thoughts. It's moments like these that I cherish most, the easy collaboration, the shared excitement, the way we instinctively understand each other's vision. As we talk, I notice how close we're sitting, the warmth of Sophia's leg pressed against mine, the way her hair falls forward as she leans over the notebook. My hand itches to brush it back, cup her cheek, and draw her in for a kiss. But we're in public, and we agreed to take things slow. I clear my throat and force my attention back to the task at hand. "We should probably start reaching out to local businesses for sponsorships," I say. "And we'll need to find a bus we can convert." Sophia nods, seemingly unaware of my internal struggle. "I've got some contacts at the school district. I could start there." "Perfect," I reply, jotting it down. "I'll talk to Elena about organizing a book drive specifically for the mobile library." As we continue planning, we move to the fall community event. "We could use the event to publicly launch the mobile library project," Sophia suggests. "Get people excited about it, maybe even start a fundraising campaign." I like the idea. We could have a booth set up with information about the project, maybe even have a small-scale model of the bus for people to see. Sophia's face lights up with another idea. "What if we set up a wish upon a book station? People could write their favorite book titles or reading memories on paper stars and pin them to a big display board." I laugh. "Look at you, coming up with wishing wall ideas. I'm rubbing off on you." She grins, playfully bumping her shoulder against mine. "What can I say? You're a bad influence." Our eyes meet, and for a moment, the bustling coffee shop fades away. There's a softness in Sophia's gaze that makes my heart skip a beat. Without thinking, I reach out and tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Sophia leans into my touch, her eyes never leaving mine. Jake, she murmurs, her voice low and warm. I know we're in public, know we should maintain some professional distance, but in this moment, I can't bring myself to care. I lean in slowly, giving her plenty of time to pull away if she wants to. She doesn't. Instead, she meets me halfway, her lips soft and sweet against mine. The kiss is brief but full of promise, leaving me a little breathless when we part. So much for taking it slow, Sophia says with a soft laugh, her cheeks flushed. I grin, feeling a bit lightheaded. Hey, I'd say we're practically moving at a snail's pace, all things considered. She rolls her eyes. Come on, we should get back to work. We've got a mobile library to plan. As we return our focus to the notebook in front of us, I feel a sense of contentment wash over me. This thing between Sophia and me, it feels right. Natural. Like two puzzle pieces fitting perfectly together. The rest of the afternoon flies by in a whirlwind of planning and preparation. By the time the evening crowd starts to trickle in, we have a solid outline for both the mobile library project and the fall community event. As Sophia gathers her things to leave, I'm struck by a sudden thought. Hey, I say, catching her hand. Can we talk for a second? She turns back to me, curiosity in her eyes. Of course. What's up? I take a deep breath, suddenly feeling a bit nervous. I've been thinking about us. Sophia's expression softens. Oh? Yeah, I tug her closer. I know we said we'd take things slow, but I feel like what we have is special. I want to spend more time with you, Sophia. Not just working on projects, but everything else too. A smile plays at the corners of her mouth. I'd like that, Jake. So, I was wondering if maybe you'd want to make this official? Be together, publicly, as a couple? I ask. Sophia's eyes widen slightly, but her smile grows. Are you asking me to be your girlfriend, Jake Harrison? The heat rises in my cheeks, but I can't help grinning. I guess I am. What do you say? She pretends to consider it for a moment, tapping her chin thoughtfully. Well, I suppose it would make working on all these projects together more interesting. Oh, is that the only reason? I tease, pulling her closer. She grins up at me, her eyes sparkling with mischief and affection. Well, that and the fact that I'm kind of crazy about you. My heart soars at her words. So, is that a yes? Instead of answering, Sophia rises on her tiptoes and presses a soft kiss to my lips. It's a yes, she murmurs against my mouth.
Chapter 14. Sophia. The gentle hum of my laptop fan fills the quiet of my apartment as I put the finishing touches on my latest article. The piece about the reading Oasis Unveiling has garnered more attention than I expected, and my editor is already clamoring for a follow-up on the mobile library project. A soft ping from my phone draws my attention. It's a message from Jake. Coffee date at our spot in 30? I've got news. I feel a smile tugging at my lips as I type a quick response. On my way. I grab my bag and head out the door, a flutter of excitement in my stomach. Coffee Loft is bustling as always when I arrive, the afternoon crowd in full swing. I spot Jake behind the counter, his face lighting up as our eyes meet. He gestures towards our usual corner table, where 2 steaming mugs are already waiting. Hey, beautiful, he greets me with a quick kiss as I approach. Lofty spiced vanilla latte, just how you like it. You spoil me, I tease, settling into my seat. So, what's this news you couldn't wait to share? Jake's eyes sparkle with excitement as he leans in. You know how we've been reaching out to local businesses for the mobile library project? I nod, taking a sip of my latte. Did we get some sponsors? Better, he grins. Remember that tech startup, Innovated? They want to partner with us. Not just sponsor, but actually collaborate on the project. My eyes widen. Seriously? That's amazing, Jake. What exactly are they proposing? They want to outfit the bus with tablets and e-readers, Jake explains, his enthusiasm infectious. They're developing an app that can track reading progress, recommend books, even connect kids with online tutoring services. They see the mobile library as the perfect way to test their platform and get it into underserved communities. I lean back, processing this information. Wow. That could really take this project to the next level. But I hesitate, a thought occurring to me. Jake's brow furrows slightly. But what? It's just, won't this change the nature of the project a bit? I mean, we started out wanting to bring physical books to kids who might not have access to them. Adding all this tech. I don't know, doesn't it feel like it's moving away from our original vision? Jake nods slowly, considering my words. I get what you're saying. But think about it this way, we're not replacing the physical books, we're supplementing them. This could open up so many more opportunities for these kids. Imagine being able to access thousands of books at the touch of a button or getting help with homework even if there's no one at home who can tutor them. I can see the passion in his eyes, the genuine belief that this could make a difference. It's one of the things I love most about him, his unwavering commitment to helping others. Besides, did I mention they also want to cover the cost of the school bus? Jake asks. Just the used bus. We're still on the hook for any funds to restore it. That's generous of them. I'm wondering how they'll get enough out of this collaboration to justify the cost of a used school bus. I've done the homework. They aren't exactly cheap. It is. Jake studies me carefully. Let's hear them out and see if they come through with the bus. It would be good publicity for them, thanks to all the buzz you've been creating. Could turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. You're right, I concede, reaching across the table to take his hand. It's a big change. But if anyone can make it work, it's you. Jake squeezes my hand, his smile soft. Us. We're in this together, remember? The warmth in his gaze makes my heart skip a beat. It's still hard to believe sometimes that we've gone from colleagues to this. So, I say, trying to refocus on the project, what's our next step? Jake pulls out his ever-present notebook. We need to set up a meeting with the innovated team, go over their proposals in detail. And we should probably loop in Elena and Mr. Thompson, get their input. I nod, already making mental notes. I can reach out to my contact at the school board too. See if we can get their official backing for the project. As we dive into planning mode, bouncing ideas back and forth, I'm struck by how natural this feels. Working with Jake, building something meaningful together, it's exhilarating. Oh, Jake says suddenly, looking up from his notes. I almost forgot. I got a call from the mayor's office today about the fall festival. I leaned forward, intrigued. What did they say? Are we still on track? Jake nods, a hint of excitement in his smile. More than that. They're thrilled with our plans. The mayor wants to help any way she can. Said it's exactly the kind of positive community engagement they want to showcase. That's fantastic, Jake. I exclaim, genuinely thrilled. All our hard work is paying off. This festival is going to be amazing. He reaches across the table, taking my hand in his. We've come a long way from that first wish, haven't we? I couldn't have done any of this without you, Sophia. The sincerity in his voice touches something deep inside me. I intertwine our fingers, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. Our eyes meet, and in that moment, the bustling coffee shop seems to fade away. It's just us, connected by more than our joined hands. We make a pretty good team, don't we? I say softly, my thumb tracing small circles on the back of his hand. Jake's eyes soften, his gaze filled with warmth and something deeper that makes my heart skip a beat. The best, he murmurs, bringing our joined hands to his lips and pressing a soft kiss to my knuckles. The tender gesture sends a shiver down my spine, and I feel a blush creeping up my cheeks. It's a small act, but somehow more intimate than any public display of affection. So, I say, my voice a bit breathless, what's next on our festival planning list? Jake grins, clearly aware of the effect he's had on me. Well, partner, I think we need to start reaching out to local artists for the community mural project. As we dive back into planning mode, I marvel at how far we've come and how close we've grown. We spend the next hour brainstorming ideas for the festival, our hands remaining linked on the table between us. It's a small gesture, but it speaks volumes about how far we've come and where we're headed. The community center buzzes with activity as I weave my way through clusters of volunteers, clipboard in hand. The fall festival is just 2 weeks away, and there's still so much to do. Colorful banners proclaiming Wilmington wishes hang from the ceiling, and the walls are covered with drafts of the community mural designs. Sophia. Elena's voice cuts through the chatter. I turn to see her waving me over to a table piled high with books. Can you believe how many donations we've received for the mobile library? I shake my head in amazement. It's incredible. The community really came through. As I help Elena sort through the books, categorizing them by age group and genre, I feel a swell of pride. This is what Jake and I had hoped for when we started planning the festival, a true community effort. Speaking of the mobile library, Elena says, a mischievous glint in her eye, how are things going with our resident coffee shop hero? I feel a blush creeping up my cheeks. Things are good. Really good, actually. Elena grins. I knew it. You two are perfect for each other. Before I can respond, I feel a warm hand on the small of my back. Who's perfect for each other? Jake's voice, tinged with amusement, makes me jump slightly. You too, obviously, Elena says without missing a beat. Now, make yourself useful and help us with these books. Jake chuckles, pressing a quick kiss to my temple before grabbing a stack of young adult novels. Yes, ma'am. As we work, Jake fills us in on his meeting with the innovated team. They're bringing a prototype of the app to demo at the festival, he says. They even want to set up a VR station where kids can visit famous libraries around the world. That sounds amazing. I'm genuinely impressed. But won't it overshadow the physical books? Jake shakes his head. I had the same concern, but they've come up with a great solution. The app will actually encourage kids to check out physical books by offering rewards and challenges tied to reading tangible copies. Elena nods approvingly. Blending the old with the new. I like it. As we continue sorting books, the conversation flows easily between the three of us, discussing festival plans and brainstorming ideas for future projects. It strikes me how natural this all feels, working alongside Jake, building something meaningful together. Before I forget, Jake says suddenly, turning to me. My mom called earlier. She wants to come down for the festival. A flutter of nervousness rises in my stomach. Mom? Wow. Are you okay with that? Jake grins, reaching out to squeeze my hand reassuringly. More than okay. She's excited to meet you, actually. Meet me? I repeat, my voice higher than usual. As in, meet your girlfriend? His smile softens. Yeah, if that's all right with you. I may have talked about you. A lot. Elena chuckles, reminding us of her presence. Young love. It's adorable. I roll my eyes at her, but can't help the warm feeling spreading through my chest. I'd love to meet her, I tell Jake, meaning it despite my nerves. The rest of the afternoon flies by in a whirlwind of activity. We finish sorting the books, help hang more decorations, and go over the festival layout with the event coordinator. By the time we're done, the sun is setting, casting a warm glow through the community center windows. I think that's enough for today, Jake announces, stretching his arms above his head. Anyone up for dinner? My treat. Elena begs off, citing a date night with her husband, leaving Jake and me to walk hand in hand to a nearby Thai restaurant we've been meaning to try. Over steaming plates of pad Thai and green curry, we discuss the day's progress and our remaining to-do list for the festival. But as the meal goes on, our conversation drifts to more personal topics. So, Jake says, a hint of nervousness in his voice, are you really okay with meeting my mom? I take a sip of my Thai iced tea, considering my answer. I'm a little nervous, I admit. but yes, I'm okay with it. Jake's face breaks into a relieved smile. Good. Because I meant what I said earlier, I've told her a lot about you. She already thinks that you're pretty great. Oh yeah? I tease, trying to lighten the mood. What exactly have you been saying about me, Mr. Harrison? He reaches across the table, taking my hand in his. Only the truth. That you're brilliant, passionate, and that you've made me happier than I'd been in a long time. His words send a rush of warmth through me. Jake. I'm serious, Sophia, he continues, his blue eyes intense. These past few weeks, working on the wishing wall projects with you, watching you pour your heart into helping others, it's made me fall for you even harder. Tears prick the corners of my eyes. I feel the same way, I confess softly. I've never met anyone like you, Jake. Your kindness, your dedication, it's inspiring. And a little intimidating, if I'm honest. Jake's brow furrows. Intimidating? Why? I shrug, suddenly feeling vulnerable. Sometimes I wonder if I can keep up. You have this amazing vision for helping people, for making the world better. I'm just a reporter. Hey, Jake says firmly, squeezing my hand. You're not just anything. You're an incredible journalist who uses her talents to shine a light on important issues. And beyond that, you've become an integral part of these projects. The wishing wall wouldn't be what it is without you. His words soothe an insecurity I didn't even realize I had been harboring. Thank you. I blink back tears before he can see them. Jake stands up, moving to my side of the booth. He slides in next to me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders and pulling me close. We're partners in this, Sophia, he says softly, his breath warm against my hair. In all of it. The projects, the festival, and us. I lean into him, savoring the warmth and security of his embrace. Partners, I agree, the word feeling right on my tongue.
Chapter 15. Jake. The homey atmosphere of Elijah's, a family-owned restaurant downtown, wraps around us as I watch my mom and Sophia chatting over steaming plates of comfort food. Mom looks more relaxed than I've seen her in years, her weathered hands gesturing animatedly as she tells Sophia about her job at the local library. You wouldn't believe some of the stories I hear, she says, her eyes twinkling. Just last week, a little boy tried to convince me that his dog ate his library card. Sophia laughs, the sound warm and genuine, but I notice a slight tension around her eyes. She's been off all evening, though she's doing her best to hide it. That's adorable, Sophia replies. I bet you never have a dull moment. Mom shakes her head, smiling. Never. But that's what I love about it. After years of cleaning houses, it's nice to have a job where I get to interact with people, you know? I feel a familiar pang in my chest, remembering the long hours she used to work when I was a kid, trying to make ends meet while my father drank away what little money we had. It's only been a few years since his passing, since I've really started to rebuild my relationship with my mom. Mom, I say softly, you don't have to. She waves me off. Oh hush, Jake. Sophia should know where you come from. Heaven knows you worked hard enough to get where you are. Sophia reaches under the table to squeeze my hand, her touch comforting. Jake's told me a little about your family's struggles, she says to my mom. It's clear where he gets his strength and determination from. Mom's eyes mist over slightly. Well, I don't know about that. But I do know that boy's got a heart of gold. Always has, even when things were at their worst. I feel my cheeks heat up. Mom, come on. It's true, Sophia agrees, bumping my shoulder playfully. You should see him with the kids at the reading oasis. He's a natural. The conversation flows easily after that, but I can't shake the feeling that something's bothering Sophia. Her smiles don't quite reach her eyes, and every now and then, I catch her staring off into space, lost in thought. As we're finishing our meal, my mom turns to Sophia with a warm smile. So, dear, Jake tells me you're quite the accomplished journalist. Any big stories on the horizon? I notice Sophia stiffen almost imperceptibly before plastering on a smile. Oh, there's always something brewing in the news world. But right now, I'm mostly focused on our community projects with Jake. My mom nods approvingly. That wishing wall of his is something special, isn't it? I always knew Jake would do great things, but seeing how he's bringing the community together, well, it makes a mother proud. Sophia's smile falters for just a moment, guilt flashing across her features so quickly I almost miss it. Jake's the real visionary, she says softly. I'm just along for the ride. I frown, confused by her self-deprecating tone. This isn't like Sophia at all. She's always been proud of her contributions to our projects. Something's off, and the feeling of unease in the pit of my stomach grows as I pay the bill and we say goodbye to Mom outside the restaurant. Hey, I say softly as we watch my mom's taxi drive away. Is everything okay? You seemed a bit, I don't know, distracted tonight. Sophia turns to me, and for a moment, I see a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. But then it's gone. I'm fine, just tired. It's been a long week with all the festival preparations. I nod, not entirely convinced but not wanting to push her. Okay. Want me to grab a nightcap? She shakes her head. Thanks, but I think I'll head home. I have an early start tomorrow. The morning lull at Coffee Loft is just setting in when I spot Sophia through the window. She's pacing outside, her brow furrowed in concentration. It's a familiar sight, but something about her demeanor today sets me on edge. As she pushes through the door, the bell chiming softly, I'm already reaching for her usual order. Lofty spiced vanilla latte? I ask, forcing a lightness into my tone that I don't quite feel. Sophia's smile is strained as she approaches the counter. Actually, can we talk? Somewhere private? My heart sinks, but I nod, gesturing towards the back room. Of course. Catherine, can you watch the front for a bit? Once we're alone, Sophia takes a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of excitement and apprehension. I got a job offer, she blurts out. For a moment, relief washes over me. Is this what had her so distracted last night? But then I notice her nervous fidgeting, and I realize there's more to this story. That's great, isn't it? I prompt gently. Sophia nods, then shakes her head. It's in New York. A junior correspondent position with a major network. It's an incredible opportunity, Jake. The words hit me like a physical blow. New York. That's hundreds of miles away from Wilmington, from the wishing wall, from me. Wow, I manage, trying to process this information. When did you find out? Yesterday morning, Sophia admits, guilt clouding her features. I wanted to tell you right away, but then there was dinner with your mom, and I didn't want to ruin that. I nod, understanding dawning. That's why you seemed so distracted last night. She reaches for my hand, her touch tentative. I'm sorry, Jake. I hated keeping this from you, even for a day. I didn't know how to tell you. Especially after hearing about everything you've overcome, how hard you've worked to get here. Her words bring a lump to my throat. I think about my mom, about our conversation last night, about how far I've come from those tough days of my childhood. You should take it, I say, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. Sophia's eyes widen in surprise. What? The job, I clarify. You should take it. It's an amazing opportunity, Sophia. You can't pass that up. But what about us, she asks, her voice small. What about the wishing wall, the festival, all our plans? I squeeze her hand, forcing a smile. The wishing wall will still be here. And as for us, we'll figure it out. This is your chance to make a real difference, Sophia. On a national scale. Tears well in her eyes. I don't want to leave you, Jake. Or any of this. The wishing wall. It's changed my life. You've changed my life. And you've changed mine, I say. Which is why I can't let you give up this opportunity. Not for me, not for anything. We stand there in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation settling over us. Finally, Sophia speaks again, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I don't take it? I shake my head, cupping her face gently. Then you'd always wonder what if. I grew up watching my mom sacrifice everything for our family. I won't let you make that kind of sacrifice for me. A tear slips down her cheek, and I brush it away with my thumb. We'll make it work, I promise, trying to convince myself as much as her. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. Sophia nods, leaning into my touch. I love you, Jake, she says softly, the words both a balm and a knife to my heart. I love you too, I reply, pulling her into a tight embrace.
Chapter 16. Sophia. The bustling energy of New York City pulses around me as I make my way through the crowded streets of Midtown Manhattan. The towering skyscrapers loom overhead, a stark contrast to the quaint charm of downtown Wilmington. I clutch my portfolio tighter, both excited and nervous about the interview awaiting me at the network's headquarters. Stepping into the sleek, modern lobby, I feel a twinge of nostalgia for the warm, cozy atmosphere of Coffee Loft. I push the thought aside, straightening my blazer and putting on my most confident smile as I approach the receptionist. The interview flies by in a whirlwind of questions, pitches, and discussions about the future of journalism. Before I know it, I'm shaking hands with the news director, her words echoing in my ears. We'd be thrilled to have you join our team, Sophia. The position is yours if you want it. I blink, momentarily stunned. Thank you. This is incredible. As I leave the building, my mind races. This is everything I've ever dreamed of, a junior correspondent position with a major network, the chance to cover national and international stories, to make a real difference on a grand scale. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. So why does my heart feel so heavy? I find a quiet corner in a nearby park, pulling out my phone. My finger hovers over Jake's name for a moment before I hit call. He answers on the second ring. Sophia? How did it go? The sound of his voice, warm and familiar, brings a lump to my throat. They offered me the job, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Jake speaks again, his voice is filled with genuine happiness, though I can detect an underlying tension. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I knew you'd knock their socks off. Thanks, Jake, I reply, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. It's a dream come true. We chat for a few more minutes, Jake asking about the details of the job, me inquiring about the festival preparations. But there's an elephant in the room that neither of us wants to address. Listen, Jake says finally, we should talk more when you get back. Really figure things out. I nod, forgetting for a moment that he can't see me. Yeah, you're right. I'll be back tomorrow evening. Maybe we can meet at Coffee Loft? Sounds perfect, he agrees. I love you, Sophia. I love you too, I whisper, ending the call. As I make my way back to my hotel, the excitement of the job offer battles with the ache in my chest. The city around me buzzes with life and opportunity, but all I can think about is the quiet charm of Wilmington, the warmth of Coffee Loft, and Jake's smile. I've achieved my career goal, landed my dream job. So why does it feel like I'm losing something precious in the process? The familiar chime of Coffee Loft's bell feels bittersweet as I step inside. It's after hours, and the usually bustling cafe is eerily quiet. Jake stands behind the counter, his hands busy wiping down the espresso machine. Hey, I say softly, my voice sounding too loud in the empty space. Jake looks up, a mix of emotions flickering across his face, before settling into a warm smile. Hey yourself. Lofty spiced vanilla latte? I nod, grateful for this small bit of normalcy. We don't speak as he prepares the drink, the whir of the machine filling the silence between us. When he hands me the mug, our fingers brush, the familiar sensation making my heart ache. We settle into our usual corner, the wishing wall looming behind us, a silent witness to the conversation we're both dreading. So, Jake begins, his voice careful. New York, huh? I take a sip of my latte, buying time. It's an amazing opportunity. Jake nods, his eyes never leaving mine. It is. You deserve it, Sophia. You're going to do incredible things there. His sincerity makes this even harder. I don't know what to do. This job, it's everything I've ever wanted professionally. But you, the wishing wall, what we've built here. It means so much to me. Jake reaches across the table, taking my hand in his. I know. But we have to be realistic. My life, my work. It's here in Wilmington. And your new job, it's going to be demanding. We can't expect to fly back and forth every other weekend. Tears prick the corners of my eyes. So what are you saying? He takes a deep breath, and I can see the pain in his eyes. Maybe we need to take a break. At least for now. Give you a chance to focus on your new job, to really dive into this opportunity without worrying about me. About us. The words hit me like a physical blow, even though I know he's right. A break, I repeat, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Jake squeezes my hand. I love you, Sophia. That's not going to change. But I can't ask you to give up this dream for me, and I can't leave the wishing wall. Not now, when we're making such a difference here. I nod, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. We sit in silence for a while, both lost in our own thoughts, our hands still intertwined on the table. Finally, I stand, knowing if I don't leave now, I might never find the strength to go. Jake walks me to the door, and we pause on the threshold. I love you, I whisper, looking up into those blue eyes I've come to know so well. Jake cups my face gently, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. I love you too. Always. Weeks later, I find myself walking through Central Park, the crisp autumn air nipping at my cheeks. New York is so different from Wilmington, bigger, louder, more impersonal. The park is beautiful, with its colorful leaves and winding paths, but it lacks the intimate charm of Wilmington's riverfront. As I watch a group of children chasing each other across a lawn, I'm reminded of the kids at the reading oasis. I wonder how the fall festival this weekend will go, and if Jake's managed to fulfill any new wishes. My phone buzzes with a message from my producer about an upcoming assignment. This is what I wanted, isn't it? The fast-paced world of national news, the chance to tell important stories. But as I look around at the unfamiliar faces rushing by, I feel a sense of longing for the community I left behind. For the first time since I arrived in New York, I allow myself to wonder, did I make the right choice?
Chapter 17. Jake. The early morning light filters through the windows of Coffee Loft when I wipe down the counter for what feels like the 100th time. I've been here since 4, unable to sleep, my mind a constant whirl of thoughts and plans. Jake, Catherine's voice cuts through my reverie. When was the last time you actually slept? I shrug, not meeting her concerned gaze. I got a few hours last night. There's just so much to do with the fall festival coming up. Catherine sighs, gently prying the cleaning cloth from my hands. You can't keep going like this. You're running yourself into the ground. Before I can protest, the bell above the door chimes. Elena walks in, her arms laden with books for our latest reading Oasis expansion. Morning, you too. Jake, you look terrible. Thanks, I mutter, running a hand through my disheveled hair. Just what every guy wants to hear. Elena exchanges a look with Catherine. Seriously, Jake. We're worried about you. You're here all hours, you barely eat. This isn't healthy. I force a smile, trying to ease their concerns. I'm fine, really. Just busy. And it has nothing to do with Sophia being in New York? Catherine asks pointedly. The name sends a sharp pang through my chest. Sophia's happy, I say, my voice sounding hollow even to my own ears. She's living her dream. That's what matters. Elena places a gentle hand on my arm. Your happiness matters, too, Jake. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. Thankfully, the morning rush begins, giving me an excuse to lose myself in the familiar routine of brewing coffee and chatting with regulars. As the day wears on, I find myself gravitating towards the wishing wall during quiet moments. New wishes have appeared, each one a reminder of why I started this project in the first place. A single mother wishing for help with school supplies. An elderly man hoping to reconnect with an old friend. A teenager dreaming of music lessons. These are the things that keep me going, I remind myself. The chance to make a difference, to bring a little light into people's lives. To show them they are not in this alone. But as I read each wish, I wonder how Sophia would approach them. The stories she would weave, the connections she would make. Her absence is a constant ache, a void I can't seem to fill no matter how hard I work. That evening, as I'm closing up the shop, Matthew stops by. "Jake," he says, his brow furrowed with concern. "We need to talk." I brace myself for another lecture about taking care of myself, but Matthew surprises me. "I saw Sophia on the news today," he says. "She did a piece on community initiatives in New York. Reminded me a bit of what you two built here." My heart races. "She did?" Matthew nods, pulling out his phone. "Here, take a look." I watch, transfixed, as Sophia's face fills the screen. She's standing in front of a community garden in Brooklyn, her eyes alight with that passion I know so well. She's beautiful, confident, every inch the successful reporter she's always dreamed of being. She looks happy, I manage to say, handing the phone back to Matthew. He studies me for a moment. Maybe. Or maybe she's putting on a good show. Like what you're doing. I don't know how to respond to that. The hope it stirs in my chest is almost painful. "Take care of yourself, Jake," Matthew says, clapping me on the shoulder. "The festival's coming up, and we need you at your best." After he leaves, I find myself standing in front of the wishing wall, my own wishes echoing silently in my heart. For the festival to be a success. For the strength to keep going. And I stop the thought that wells up in my heart. It's too selfish. The fall festival is in full swing, a kaleidoscope of colors, sounds, and smells filling the air. Laughter mingles with music, the scent of kettle corn and apple cider wafting on the breeze. It's everything we hoped for. I stand on a small rise, overlooking the festivities. The wishing wall booth is bustling with activity, children and adults alike pinning their hopes and dreams to our community board. The mobile library booth, decked out in autumn colors, is surrounded by eager readers. Even from here, I can see the smiles on their faces as they explore new worlds through the pages of a book. "We did it, Sophia," I whisper to myself, wishing she could see this. "Jake!" Catherine's voice carries over the crowd. "The mayor wants to speak with you about the mobile library bus." I nod, taking one last look at the festival before turning to make my way down. But before I can take a step, everything goes dark. Two hands cover my eyes, soft and warm against my skin. A familiar voice, one that's haunted my dreams for weeks, whispers close to my ear, "Guess who?" My heart stops. It can't be. I know that voice, that scent, the feel of those fingers on my face. But it's impossible. I spin around, hardly daring to believe, and there she is. Sophia, more beautiful than ever, her eyes shining with unshed tears and a smile that could light up the darkest night. "Sophia?" I breathe, afraid that if I blink, she'll disappear. "What? How?" She laughs, the sound washing over me like a warm wave. Turns out, the Big Apple isn't all it's cracked up to be. Especially when your heart is still in a small town in North Carolina. I can hardly process her words. "But your job, your dream." Sophia steps closer, taking my hands in hers. "I realize something, Jake. The work we do here, with the wishing wall, with our community, it's more important than any big-time reporting job. This is where I belong. Where we belong." "But," I start, still struggling to believe this is real. "I quit," she says simply. "I'm currently jobless, homeless, and staying at a hotel. Any chance you could get me a job at Coffee Loft? A laugh bubbles up from deep in my chest, weeks of tension and loneliness melting away. I think we can do better than that, I say, pulling her close. Sophia's arms wrap around my neck, and suddenly, everything feels right in the world again. I love you, Jake Harrison, she whispers. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure it out, but this is where I want to be. With you, making wishes come true. I can't hold back any longer. I cup her face in my hands and kiss her, pouring weeks of longing and love into it. She responds with equal fervor, and for a moment, the festival, the crowd, the whole world fades away. It's just us, finally together again. When we part, both breathless, I rest my forehead against hers. I love you, too, Sophia. More than I can say. Welcome home. She smiles that radiant smile I've missed so much. So, partner, ready to grant some more wishes? I laugh, taking her hand and leading her towards the festival. With you by my side? Always.
Epilogue. Sophia. Wilmington, North Carolina, 6 months later. It's early when I walk to the community center. The sun is barely up, and the air is crisp with the promise of spring, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and new beginnings. It's a fitting day for what lies ahead, the grand opening of our mobile library. As I round the corner, I see it. A converted school bus, painted a cheerful blue, with Wilmington Wishes Mobile Library emblazoned on the side in swirling golden letters. I smile. 6 months of hard work, countless meetings, and more than a few sleepless nights have led to this moment. There's my star reporter, a familiar voice calls out. I turn to see Jake jogging towards me, 2 coffee cups in hand. His smile, as always, makes my heart skip a beat. Ex-reporter, I correct him, accepting the cup with a grateful smile. Though I suppose community outreach coordinator doesn't have quite the same ring to it. Jake chuckles, wrapping an arm around my waist and pulling me close. How about wish granteur extraordinaire? I laugh, leaning into him. I like the sound of that. Sipping my coffee and watching the early preparations for the launch, I think about how much has changed in the past 6 months. And for the better. None of the hustle and bustle of New York and no big network job can beat the fulfillment I get from working on these community projects with the love of my life. I'd choose my life with Jake over the Big Apple any day. The wishing wall has grown beyond our wildest dreams. And far beyond the confines of the Coffee Loft. What started as a simple corkboard in Coffee Loft has blossomed into a community-wide initiative. We've partnered with local businesses, schools, and government offices to set up wishing walls across Wilmington. Each one serves as a beacon of hope, a place where dreams are shared and, more often than not, realized. And now, with the mobile library, we're taking our mission on the road. The idea is simple. Bring books, technology, and educational resources to underserved areas of the community. But it's more than just a library on wheels. It's a mobile hub for wishes and dreams. Penny for your thoughts? Jake's voice pulls me from my reverie. I smile. Just thinking about how far we've come. Did you ever imagine when you first put up that wishing wall that it would lead to all this? Jake's eyes soften, his gaze full of warmth. Honestly? No. But I'm grateful every day that it did. Especially because it brought you into my life. There you two are. Elena calls, her arms laden with books, again. We've got a big day ahead. Are you ready? The next few hours fly by in a whirlwind of activity. Volunteers arrive, helping to stock the mobile library with books, tablets, and educational games. Local news crews set up their equipment, eager to cover the launch. I slip back into reporter mode, coordinating interviews and ensuring our message comes across clearly. As the crowd begins to gather for the ribbon-cutting ceremony, I step inside the mobile library. The interior is even more impressive than I remembered, cozy reading nooks, state-of-the-art computers, and shelves upon shelves of books. But what catches my eye is the small wishing wall at the back, ready to collect the hopes and dreams of everyone we'll meet on our journeys. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Jake's voice startles me. I turn to find him leaning against the doorway, a big smile on his face. It's perfect, I reply, my voice thick with emotion. I can't believe we actually did it. Jake crosses the small space, taking my hands in his. We did it together. Just like we'll do everything else. Time for the ceremony, someone calls and we head back out, taking our place beside the local dignitaries lined up in front of the ribbon. The mayor's speech is mercifully brief, focusing on the importance of community initiatives like ours. When it's our turn to speak, Jake and I tag-team the presentation, our words flowing seamlessly as we explain the mobile library's mission. And now, Jake says, his voice carrying over the crowd, we have a special surprise. Sophia, would you do the honors? Confused, I step forward. Jake hands me a book, a beautiful, leather-bound volume I've never seen before. Open it, he urges softly. With trembling fingers, I lift the cover. My breath catches as I realize what I'm looking at. It's our story, from the first day I walked into Coffee Loft to this very moment. Each page is filled with photos, news clippings, and handwritten notes chronicling our journey. Jake, I whisper, overwhelmed. Keep going, he encourages. I turn the pages, reliving our adventures, our triumphs, and even our brief separation. And then I reach the final page. Instead of a photo or a clipping, there's a single question written in Jake's familiar scrawl. Will you marry me? I look up, tears blurring my vision, to find Jake down on one knee. In his hand is a small, velvet box containing a ring that sparkles in the sunlight. Sophia Martinez, he says, his voice carrying clearly despite the gasps and murmurs from the crowd. You've made more of my wishes come true than I ever thought possible. You've brought light and laughter and love into my life. You've been my partner in all things, in granting wishes, in building this community, in creating a life together. Will you be my partner for the rest of our lives? Will you marry me? For a moment, I'm speechless. Then, with a joy so profound it feels like my heart might burst, I nod. Yes, I say. Yes, of course I'll marry you. The crowd erupts in cheers as Jake slips the ring onto my finger and pulls me into a kiss. It's a perfect moment, one I know I'll cherish for the rest of my life. The rest of the day passes in a blur of congratulations, well wishes, and tours of the mobile library. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow over the community center, Jake and I finally find a quiet moment alone. So, he says, his arms wrapped around me as we watch the last of the volunteers pack up. What's our next adventure, future Mrs. Harrison? I laugh, leaning back against his chest. Well, Mr. Harrison, I was thinking we could start by taking this show on the road. Maybe expand the wishing wall concept to other communities? Jake nods, his chin resting on top of my head. I like the sound of that. We could document the stories we collect, maybe turn it into a series of books or a podcast. Combining our media skills with our community work, I muse. That could be really powerful. Together, we're unstoppable, Jake agrees. As we stand there, watching the sun set on this momentous day, I'm filled with a sense of contentment and excitement for the future. A year ago, I thought my dreams were leading me to New York, to a high-profile job and a life of glamour. Instead, they led me here, to a small town in North Carolina, to a man who believes in the power of wishes, and to a life filled with purpose and love. You know, I say, turning in Jake's arms to face him. I think it's time we put a new wish on the wall. Jake raises an eyebrow, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Oh? And what wish would that be? I reach up, tracing the line of his jaw with my fingertips. A wish for our happily ever after. For a lifetime of granting wishes, telling stories, and loving each other. Jake's smile widens as he leans down to kiss me. Against my lips, he whispers that, my love, is one wish that's already coming true. The end. This has been Beanful, written by Susanne Ash. Copyright 2024 by Susanne Ash. Production copyright 2024 by Susanne Ash. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe if you want me to put more of my books on YouTube. Visit my website at www.susanneash.com for more of my books or find me on Amazon.